So don't make them go to
Meeting is
Craboney.
called to order.
There's actually a gavel in the draw.
Anyhow, I would ask for a motion to move into a public hearing on the subject of 972 Main Street.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Accusing yourself.
Yeah. Mr. Cortezes will recuse himself. The revised plan, should we let the, you think we should let the applicant make the presentation first, or it might be more felicitous? Yeah, you want to come up and tell us what you've done?
Presentation is in the packet or
This is what you gave us tonight? Okay.
yeah, that's okay. Good. I've got that in my
Is this the same thing that we got yesterday? Okay, so
Yes.
Brian can look at it.
I can see it right here.
At the crane's neck. Go ahead. You're gonna
Sure.
talk.
Good evening to the board. I'm Jeff Eugenio, Gellerman and Cabral. We're here representing Treetop Group. We have Sid Gellert of Treetop here.
Good evening.
We have Tim Johnson, architect. And as you may recall, we were at the board recently, and we had made some modifications to the building, in which we ended up moving it back off the street to try to preserve as much of the 12-foot sidewalk width as possible. So we did that, and at the same time, in the rear, we took out, we removed a curbing off the side street, and that allowed us to keep that 24-foot drive aisle in the exterior drive aisle, so we didn't need relief for that. You may recall that also preserved the 10-foot rear setback with the residential zone that was important to the board and the community, and that left us with ultimately 3 waivers that we would need from the board. We were just under an inch on that 12-foot sidewalk setback, so we'd need relief for that. The interior drive aisles were still less than 24 feet, so I think we always knew that. We would need a waiver for that. And the parking space sizes inside required to be 19 by 9. We were 18 by 9, so that would be the 3rd waiver that we would need for the board that wasn't already expressly part of the October approval. So, and the board also tasked us to sit down with Tom Kennedy, which we did, the 3 of us did last Tuesday at Town Hall for about an hour. He had produced a list of about 10 or 12 items that we worked through that he had questions on. We left that meeting with only his outstanding request that we produce the turning radius for the interior parking, which we have done. Hopefully it got to the board. I did write a short letter at Taylor's request justifying the reason behind the waivers, and that, generally speaking, in keeping with the intent of the district to have a walkable, mixed-use, pedestrian-friendly community, we think some of those waivers are appropriate to keep with the intent of the town in creating this district. So, obviously we have Sid and Tim here to answer any more specific questions that the board may have.
Does this packet include the turning radius? I didn't see it.
It's on the desktop, Jack.
Oh, so that's the
Yeah.
difference.
It was a separate document.
It was a separate document that we just received this afternoon. I emailed it to you, Taylor.
Yeah. Is it on the
It's on the desktop here, yeah.
You put the thumb drive in earlier.
So that's the site plan. We can go over that first if you'd like.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
let's do that first, and then we'll.
Okay. So this is the revised site plan. Main Street is along the bottom. You can see now the building is set back 10 feet from the front property line. Previously, it was 6 feet. We took that out of the 28 feet we had in the rear, still preserving our 24-foot drive aisle and also preserving the 10-foot buffer zone. You can see now we've identified at least 5 handicap or accessible spaces, 2 outside and 3 inside. We also dimensioned the drive aisles that some may need relief from. We also provided an elevator foyer. After meeting with our passive house consultant, he highly recommended a elevator foyer, because if that door opened up into the garage, it would be a blast of air going up that elevator shaft. So we did provide the elevator foyer, and then we still had room around the foyer and elevator for the trash or recycled bins and 2 rolling trash dumpsters. So if you want to go to the next slide, will be the front or AO1. Sorry. All right, next one. So this is the first floor plan. Again, you can see the building is set back 10 feet. Along the bottom, you can see there are dimensions in a box. Got a box. So the bottom left, you can see a dimension there of 11 foot 8 inches, which is the dimension of the sidewalk. And since the curb is not parallel with the front property line, the sidewalk width goes down to 11.5 feet at the other end of the front right portion of the property. But by setting that building back, we're able to put the ramp area outside that 11.5 plus sidewalk area. We also now have a nice planting area in front of the building. So shifting that building back accomplished a lot of things. And we can certainly go through all the other drawings, but if you want to go through the turning radius, that's on the desktop. If I can go through that quickly.
I think it's R. I think it is the R1. I think that is it, isn't it?
This one here?
I think-
No, that's
it's
the,
not. That's today's plan.
It should have, that's it. No, that's a meeting. It's, I would scroll down a little bit on that. It should say,
You don't think it's that second document, Tim?
no,
No.
it has the word turning in it. It was sent to me as by our consultant. Can you scroll down a little bit further?
These are outdated.
Oh, those are all outdated, okay.
Yeah. Try that one. Try that second one. I think I thought I saw that. No.
No, that's the architectural.
Oh God.
Is Jack still here?
It's go to the desktop, open it, you'll open it on the desktop. You go back to files.
You can zoom in on either one. So our transportation consultant, Chi Man, did studies for 2 of the probably hardest spaces to get out of. This would be the top right. You can certainly see easily, it's a back out, straight back out, and you're out the door. Bottom left is a little bit more difficult. I actually did count. That is a 3-point turn. Standard 3-point turn to get out of that parking area. So we provided this study to Mr. Kennedy today. Those would be the 2 most difficult spaces to pull out of.
On the left diagram, how do you get into the SP1? On the left diagram, I think, the other one. How do you get into SP1 there?
How would you get to the top?
The top, that spot right there.
But you could pull in and just back right into the space.
So-
That's what I would do. Or you could come in, take a quick right, and back up as shown back up, and then pull in headlights first.
Okay, so if you back, I'm just asking because it's the first time I've seen it. If you backed into that space, how would you get out? What you just described that to me.
If I backed into that space, how would I get out? I would just, that's an 18-foot wide garage door. I would just pull forward and turn out the garage door.
Okay, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe you.
Yeah. This study shows that the car went in headlights first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was asking the other way around. This one makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a preference, whether people like to pull it reverse into their space or headlights first. I'm a headlights first person, so I would probably come in, right, back up, shoot. So I would do a 3-point turn to get into my parking space.
I'm obviously going to leave this to Tom's analysis because this is not like my area of expertise, but where are the 3 points for the bottom left? Like what 3 points are you doing there?
Yeah, it's a tough one to decipher.
It's like no bottom left.
The bottom left.
It's like an Austin Powers 3-point.
Yeah, well, from what I could discern from that, going through it very carefully, I counted 3 turns.
If you zoom in, I did it too. I mean, these arrows, right? See, like, if you follow those arrows, that's what it's showing. It goes this way. And then it goes in the front, those arrows, there's a pole out there. Come back and then go out.
What size car do you use as your standard? Is this a sedan or is this a...
He showed an Audi A7 SUV.
299.6 inch car. It's just great.
Yeah.
Look it up.
It seems to me the car in the lower right is similarly positioned. It's also going to have
Yes.
same type of challenge getting out of there.
Yeah.
So you're going to go this way, that way, that way.
I mean, in your mind's eye, you could just map out a 3-point turn on that bottom right one, back out, one, boom, and out. So,
I've gotten one driver through the house, and I do not feel comfortable with this in her hands. And she's
it is tight, but it's
we got.
I think a better condition than the tandem spacing that.
Yeah, it's definitely better than the tandem
Yeah,
spacing, but I still need Tom to weigh in on this because I don't know the safety
Excuse me.
requirements for this.
None of you guys, I guess, have ever parked in Cambridge in a tiny little lot where you had to.
Oh, in downtown
control
Boston, I'm not saying it's great, but I didn't approve those projects. I just deal with them and resent whoever did.
Would it be appropriate to get Matt to weigh in on this? Although this is the first time we've seen it. Matt, do you have any thoughts? First look.
Yeah, so I haven't actually seen this. I guess it came in after hours. I think there's a question. There are 2 questions: does it work, and is it reasonable and it's safe? I just think about the Jenks lot, which I just recently looked at, and that has dimensions of 22 feet wide, the aisles, and 18 feet for the stalls. And the number of complaints I get about people going in and out of that lot is pretty substantial. I understand this is a different use. The Jenks, you have people coming and going all the time. But, I have concerns about the layout, I guess. You can see, just taking a look at it, the car takes up, that entire width. If you have another car coming at the same time, you're going to have conflict points. If you have people backing out, their vision isn't going to be great. It's going to be blocked, obstructed in some places, and you have people coming in at the same time. They also have some obstructions. So, it may look okay on paper, and I can't say that for certain because I haven't really looked at it in detail, but that doesn't necessarily make it a good or an optimal solution, in my opinion.
What are signaling options for, like, I know the ones where you come up to the gate and it lets the pedestrians crossing the opening to the garage know that you're about to cross the sidewalk. Is there anything that has more earlier signaling so that if someone's trying to exit a space, it alerts someone trying to pull into the garage? I don't know if there's,
Mirrors, maybe?
is that the best
I don't know.
that can happen? Is there like an AI solution that hasn't yet?
Yeah, I'm not,
Something to think about.
that might be possible. I'm not familiar with that, in that kind of situation. I've certainly, at driveway entrances and exits, I've seen that. I'm not sure if that's really, feasible in this
I
situation.
just can't imagine what would signal like the left space is trying to come out, so don't.
And that last car, if they're backing out, their vision is so obstructed. It's not even just
Yeah.
the vehicles. It's now you've striped the pedestrian pathway that they're backing out, not even straight. They're backing out at multiple angles.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of obstruction and not clear vision
Yeah.
with this
And-
circulation plan.
This is very dangerous. And then we don't have it marked on here. It's 17 feet from the parked cars to the elevator bay. Is that right? That back alley is how wide?
Yeah, that from between the elevator and the spaces on the top of the drawing, a little over 17 feet. Yeah.
4 or 5 feet more narrow than the junks aisles. So I don't think, I think we need Matt to have more than an on-the-spot pressure point to analyze this. And I think if it's possible for you to put into your analysis, what the next likely waiver that we would have to consider would be, which is like, if we get rid of one spot, does that help? Like, I don't know that that's a reasonable solution on this street for this neighborhood, because it's really tight for parking anyway, and for getting around, like, this is a tough street. But what is, how do we solve this stupid parking problem? Just like, just haunting us here.
The lots in this part of town are tight. The zoning makes the parking go underground to have a first floor commercial property. We've seen two projects at this point that have density in and about this size. 2 parking spots for the commercial. This is a 15-foot lot, maybe 10. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how many parking spots it needs per unit. It's 1 per unit, and it's about the same number, give or take. So the board is going to be facing this kind of discussion on all of these lots in this newly zoned. This is not specific to this lot. This is going to be a North Main Street discussion for all of these lots, given the fact that the lots are small and we're putting parking underground to have first floor commercial, and we want sidewalks of a certain width, and we want neighborhood buffer. There just isn't physically enough space to fit a Wagoneer that I drive or an Audi Q7 and all the things that you have to fit and have the turn radius and have 24-foot drive aisles. It's just the nature of the lots.
Yeah,
it's
so
not anybody's fault. It's just a decision so this project is going to feed into 910, which is going to feed into every other project in this area. So we could say we want to have a different solution for buffering to the neighbors that's not 10 feet, and put the 4 spots back in the back and take 4 spots out of the parking garage so that you can have a bike room and there's more safety and you can have bigger parking spots. We could say we're going to give relief on total number because we think that the commercial property could be serviced by public transportation and walking, and then 2 spots can get taken out to make it a safer parking garage and have a better bike solution and maintain the buffer in the back. But at the end of the day, if the board wants development in this area, which was the intent of the rezoning, to my understanding, we want first floor commercial to activate the street, which puts parking underground. We're going to have some tough choices, and I think safety has to be a top of it.
Yeah, so for me, the next action point is to have the engineer evaluate the plan that was dropped after hours today and give us his evaluation of the feasibility of this and what safety parameters we can put. Do we need to move 1 or 2 spots out of this? What can we do?
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
Well, I mean, I'm going to ask you on the
So,
spot. You need
as the engineer in me, and not the architect, and not the zoning specialist, the lot's 100 feet deep, and if you're thinking about, a parking lot that meets the dimensional requirements, if you were thinking about an aisle with spaces on each side, you're looking at a little over 60 feet, maybe like 62, doing the math in my head. That leaves you room for a buffer on both sides. Again, the engineer in me would be looking at, how do I make this parking work within the dimensional requirements, plus or minus, and the setbacks, and then I'd be building my building up from that. And I feel like, I have been involved in reviewing this project for quite a while. I don't know if it's been a whole year, but I wasn't involved in the first iteration a couple of years ago. I haven't seen any other layout other than this, and this is what we're going to do, and the parking doesn't really work, but we're going to try and make it work. Why not come back and say, we can't make the parking work in another way, or we've looked at a different layout of the parking and the building, and it's better, it's worse. It's like an alternatives analysis. I think an alternatives analysis would be helpful.
We have shown other.
step one of the alternatives analysis, because the
This
original
is
idea
the-
was the town.
Yeah, if I could.
Yeah, good.
I just speak through the chair. I don't know if Matt or the board has any opinion on, does it make a difference if it's a private lot, that everyone here is going to be familiar with this lot, that those cars in those hard to park in spots that will be their normal spot, they will do it every day, that they will have familiarity with that, versus if this was a purely public lot and you had a bunch of, newbies parking in the spot every day? Would that make a difference in the analysis? Or,
Protect rogue 3-year-olds.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
think we have like some.
The temptation here, because there's so many different waivers and variances being bandied about, it might be simpler to give you a single waiver on the number of spaces, which we can do. We could, as Amy suggested, we could reduce it to, 10 spaces inside there, instead of, 15 there?
Correct.
I think what.
And that would give you the room to put a bike room in there, open up the garbage, which to me feels like it's really jammed in there, and have reasonable turning radiuses. I don't know if that appeals to you at all, but we could justify that with the accessibility to the public transportation and the street parking.
Matt, do you have a process for reviewing this and saying, if you take this many, removing the minimum number of these spaces is the way to go? Or Jack's throwing numbers on the table, and I wonder
I'm just
if it's
pulling them
premature.
out of the air, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's something certainly you could ask them to review. Perhaps getting rid of some of those spaces and the column layout may help.
And we had heard, I may be confusing buildings. Had we heard from the neighbors that their preference is that, is this the building or is it 910 where we heard from the neighbors that the preference was that it be a low foot traffic commercial space, or was that 910? Do you remember?
That's 910.
Okay.
I think I agree that it's a private lot and people parking in it will be familiar with it on a regular basis. I believe you're not deeding spots.
I don't believe you're allowed
No.
to.
So if you're not, it's not like someone's gonna have being super familiar parking in the same spot.
Yeah,
You
like
have
your
one or two
smart
that
car
are-
guy gets the back left or something.
Yeah, it's a bit of I get it, you're gonna be in the same.
I mean, and
you
also-
understand how to go down a driveway.
Also to talk to the Matt's point that we've been so long over here and he has seen only this iteration. I think that's incorrect. When we started this process, you guys all have seen it. They were all tandem parking. So I don't know whether you're
Yes, no,
seeing-
I have not seen an iteration where the building is not where it is. I haven't, for example, seen a building set back a little bit further with a driveway coming off of Glenwood, more centered with parking spaces on either side of an aisle. I think that that's something that could potentially work and meet the parking requirements and maybe be safer, but I haven't, that hasn't been analyzed to my knowledge.
Better for the neighbors.
Oh, we did
That's
that.
why they pay you the big bucks.
We have coming here all the time, and then we were asked one of the meeting to go back and analyze, if you can take that tandem parking spot, if we can make it better. And we did analyze internally, we also thought of, can we did get in from the Glenwood in the center, and that's a better flow, but that didn't work.
You did consider a ramp then?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we did all those things in previous meetings, and this is where we came out, this works the best, you know.
Well, I think it's a huge improvement over the
Yeah.
tandem parking, as we said at our last meeting.
Yeah,
But we do have trouble with the dimensions here, and that's just the nature of the site.
We're either going to be looking at giving a waiver on the inside of the parking garage or on the outside of the parking garage. Like,
The waiver would be on the width of the driving aisles and the size of the spaces. Spaces are.
or the total number of spaces.
Yes.
Or we give them a waiver in the back,
Yeah.
and take some spaces out, and we want to maintain 15, so you put the 4 back.
And competition
And
for
get rid of
street parking in front of this building, this is the one that's next to Creative Corner, right?
Right.
And what's across the street from it? The pizza place?
That's further up, or further down the street. I think it's residences.
So the commercial spaces on the street are not as big a deal as at
No,
910.
no, no.
910 is going to be
When
tricky.
the current building doesn't have a curb in front of it, 'cause it's a
Right. It's all driveway.
Right.
So there's actually
So now
no
it'll be,
on-street parking in front of it. If you put in a proper curb with a new sidewalk, you will have, I don't know, how long is the lot?
at least 3, I would say.
At least 3.
Yeah.
The lot is 120 feet.
Yeah,
120 feet.
Yeah, maybe
by
more.
19 foot.
Yeah.
I think more than 3, I think more like 5.
5, yeah.
Call it 4.
5.
Yeah.
3 to 5, call it 4, so you're getting 4 additional parking spots on the outside to service the commercial.
I really wish, and I asked this like probably close to a year ago, have you been in touch with the Creative Corner people to see if there are spaces that are negotiable with them?
And then that lot that abuts yours?
Somebody, I
No.
think you had asked at 910 hearing.
No, I definitely asked at this site like a year ago.
Yeah.
But they said they're not.
Did we actually have we heard from the Creative Corner people, do we know?
Yeah, they said no.
They said no. They
Yeah,
said no.
They said no.
It's a bummer.
But with the addition
Even-
of the parking, the on-street parking that is not available in the nature of the current building,
That,
Yeah.
of the building.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
it's
For
on
our
Western
October approval, if you guys recall that, we showed the driveway aisle outside one was 20 feet. So that was a approval at that time. So now we have 10 feet, we have 24, we have 12 in front. So, it's
Yeah.
just,
The number of units, 13, 14, what's the number?
13 residential, 1 commercial.
So because, is that, that's not up to us, but Matt, if we removed the commercial ones,
Remove the
we would take 2 spots, can you,
It doesn't solve
can you, like, in your, 17 feet.
but I think it, one, solves the bike issue because you could turn one of the really tough spots to get into, like the biggest safety issue spot, which I would think would be the bottom left in this diagram, Q7, would be bike parking. most likely.
And the bike lift is, what does that mean?
There's a photo of it in
These are ceiling-mounted bike racks.
Which can only be accessed if the car's not there.
Correct.
I mean,
I don't think that that's a secret.
For the bikes, there are options, like, when we were at the last meeting with Taylor and Tom, they said it doesn't need to be inside, it could be outside. So we could do something on the 10-foot buffer zone, we could do a concrete pad 10 by 10 where 6 bikes can be outside. There are various options where,
But
I know,
residents aren't gonna wanna leave their bike, that's not.
if it can be outside, we have various options, where we can, it doesn't need to be inside,
Could be a shed.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah, now it's just, now we're putting a building in
Even
a
so,
buffer.
if we were to offer- if we were to
And you're,
hypothetically
like, do you
offer-
wanna put your bike out? I would put my bike in the garage.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's why I think it might be worth consideration of reduction of, and ask for a waiver on a reduction of the number of spaces if that appeals to you.
If we were to offer.
So that you could get those clearances inside and.
I'll say coming down to 10 is not going to be okay with me because that's putting too many cars on the street, but the commercial parking could probably go out front, but the
Yeah.
residents are not going to be able to park
That would be the
overnight
argument, is that
on the
there's
street.
Additional 4 spots that don't exist today out front. So if we waive the 2 spots for the commercial unit in the garage, then you're down to 13.
And also we have to be convinced that it's actually safer. I mean, because like,
Well, that, we're still offering an interior waiver on the aisles because they're not big enough. And we're offering a waiver on the length of each parking spot that exists anyways, because I don't think we can solve, like removing 2 spots doesn't magically make every spot get longer than an inch. Foot, right, and feet.
I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
not.
I don't think we're removing 2, sticking a bike rack in the corner and we're done. I think we're giving them permission to come back with a new layout with 2 spots potentially removed and see if there's a better configuration they can come up with.
2 spots removed inside.
Because those are am I mathing wrong? Is that, those are the commercial spots and then
Spots
there's
outside
one
of the
per
commercial.
unit?
Yeah, 2 are for commercial.
But we
Those
could
are
waive,
outside.
we could waive the requirement for 2 commercials down to 1. And then, and as I say, waive, say, 2 residential requirements. So then you've got,
I mean, that we're already assuming every unit is going to have 1 car, and anyone with 2 cars is going to be trying to. Glenwood is so narrow, and it has a million kids on it. And we heard from the neighbors that they don't have the capacity for. We push the parking back from the building.
questions and turn areas.
So I think we need at least a space per unit. I don't see going below that.
I don't see,
It's not going to change the rest of the waivers we have to provide, though. It's not going to solve the interior layout. It's just going to make it safer because no one's parking in these really tight, hard to get into spots. So unless you, the only place that would really make it significantly safer is if you lose these 2 on the bottom left, so that you don't have 2 in traffic.
But that's assuming that the extra space doesn't give them any room to reconfigure it all. And I'm assuming that it's not my wheelhouse, but they have some way of using the extra square
Just
footage.
losing 2 parking spots give you enough flexibility to solve the other problems.
Moving those 2 bottom and the left, which I agree are the most difficult, that would be a great place for bike parking. We have laid out this parking area several times. We felt this was the most efficiently laid out. Those 2 in the bottom left are the toughest spots to get out of. If we did get rid of those and put bike parking, I think it would significantly make it safer.
There's no room to angle anything and open the aisle that way. There's nothing.
Angling parking spaces of,
Can't rotate anything.
well, if we took those 2 spaces out, then the 2 spaces at the bottom left, the 2 spaces above it would have an easy turn back right into that little area and then pull right out. So it would do a lot for the cars in the left side of the parking area if those 2 bottom left spaces were abandoned.
Like if they're,
So then
I'm not going to do that job. I'm just saying.
so you're really only
I think we have to see if there's any aisle we can take back if we remove 2 parking spaces.
I don't see taking any parking spaces out is going to impact aisle width.
the width doesn't.
But what those 2 spaces will do, putting those commercial spaces outside will create an interior bike space and get rid of the 2 most difficult spaces to back out of.
There's a lot of conversation here about how to fit a square peg for a round hole.
thank
We're just talking about what is the extent of the relief that we're willing to give. What is the relief? What is the exact relief? I really think we need to have at least some sort of conversation, even if it's not the direction we go in. What does a building without relief look like? Can we get a building that doesn't need relief? I mean, there's
It's going to be site to site.
there's a lot of information here that shows that this, if it does work in reality, I'm having a hard time seeing it. And And I do also want to clarify that the relief given here, sure, you can waive parking spaces without adding that to a special permit, but the relief here is a variance. So it's not just like light relief. It's a variance. That's the strongest amount of relief that you can ask for. So you really have to be convinced that if you're going to give a variance on any of these, you have to be convinced that there's no other possible way to solve this problem. And I really think that you guys need to have a discussion around that. Even if you go down a different way, I think it's important to understand that.
Am I correct that no relief would be required to allow them to have 2 fewer parking spaces, because they would need 15?
That is correct. The less you can waive without a special permit in the MSMD, the number of parking spaces, as long as you believe there are other ways to satisfy those requirements. However, if there is still, if the drive aisles are still less than 24 feet, or if the parking spaces are still less than 19 by 9, then those variants still exist.
Well, what I meant was, this is a 13-unit development with ground floor commercial of somewhere around 2,000 square feet. I can't remember the exact. What is the square
I think it's 18.
1,800. So it needs 15 parking spaces, and this has 17 parking spaces. So they could take 2 off right now, and no relief is required to do that.
That's correct.
So potentially what they're saying is potentially taking 2 spots away might solve everything else. Maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does. I don't know.
That was like a variance.
You start moving stuff around, it no longer things might fit. For instance, I could imagine the 3rd car on the left up. If the 2 bottom cars were gone, that could be down a little further and parked in further.
Yeah.
You've now extended the drive aisle there substantially on the weight rate where that is.
You're saying it would be perpendicular?
No, it just would be down 3 feet, or, I know there's a post there, but the post, I'm not that kind of engineer, but posted somewhere else maybe, but it could be parked in a slightly different way, so that it doesn't come directly into that jutting out wall there.
Right, and we could shift that stair up a little bit further and potentially get both of those cars parking against the foundation wall.
So that might
so-
open up the aisle on that side. I don't know.
But,
Is the board open to this notion of reducing it by 2 spaces by seeking that possible solution so that we can give them some direction?
I'm not
Both of those are by right.
Yeah.
So it's the applicant's
Okay.
choice if he wants to present something that's
Okay.
less.
Piece. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
If, in theory, we were to offer relief on parking, we would say there would be 4 less. 2 are by right and 2 are for the commercial.
Yeah.
Which would then be moved to the front of the building because they're going to have a proper sidewalk. So in our minds, we're providing relief by utilizing town property that is not accessible at the moment.
I guess we would just have to see the new layout.
And
And I want Tom's comments, because I don't know what that does to, is everything, are we now, how are we for accessibility, and the safety, the 18?
the 2 exterior spaces are accessible, as well as those 2 up in the upper left.
Yeah.
You've got, I'm sorry, on that one also, you got 5 accessible spaces.
Yeah, we have resolved the accessibility issue. We have some questions about trash, but I'm confident those can be resolved outside of the.
Bike parking was a huge piece. Bike parking, sidewalk width, those were a huge piece of this. The buffer zone between the neighbors, the option to, you're not a biker, Diab was a big biker. We get bikers on and off the board. I get it. Everyone gets around their own way. But the possibility of increasing sustainable, low emissions and low impact transportation was a big interest in the bylaw. And that's absurd. I bike everywhere. I leave it in front hall.
I am not a biker, so I don't think I can have an opinion about what is appropriate for bike parking. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
don't
feel like
think
it's pretty
important.
easy to,
This doesn't look necessarily
Yeah.
like the easiest thing to access, but I'm not in that world, so I'm going to say that it's not.
you can also, yeah, I mean, putting them outside, like, you're not gonna put
Not
your,
ideal. Nobody wants their bike to be soaking wet before they get on it. It smells.
Well, and then,
it was meant to be an option for the, like, the 12-foot sidewalk could include a little bike parking, so you couldn't stop, but.
So my problem is, I'm convinced, and I think I'm the only one on the board who's convinced of this, that the drivers would learn how to maneuver this safely. I think they would. However, in order to do that, we have to give them variances, and I'm not sure how we can do that. I'm quite convinced that people will, after driving this for 2 weeks, be perfectly fine and know exactly what they do to come in and go. Having lived this life for many years with a Crown Victoria, getting into the tiniest space, it becomes second nature. It's not hard. And if this were a Whole Foods and people were parking there to get their groceries, I would feel totally different.
I would go Trader Joe's. for
Trader
this-
Joe's. Well, actually, it is a Trader Joe's.
Here.
It is a Trader Joe's parking lot, actually.
Exactly, I know, no one is excited.
So I'm convinced
it's
that
a nightmare.
I actually think this layout.
Scary.
I'm not all that bad with it. I think it's okay, but I come back to, so we need to give them variances. I'm not sure on what grounds we give them those variances, so I feel stuck there. If I could choose, I would choose to have this layout with all these parking spaces than a more compliant layout with fewer parking spaces, and I think the neighborhood would be happier with that too. But I don't know that I have that choice.
Or maybe not.
The other element is the front setback, and we really do want 12 feet. 11, 2 1/4, or whatever it may measure at various points. As you said, the lot is not particularly, or not exactly parallel to the street, but I think we should stick to our guns on that. That's my opinion.
That was very flagship for the bylaw writing,
Yeah,
because
I mean-
the consistency among properties, not having it jog, was part of the visual aesthetic and part of the community building piece of the bylaw.
Exactly. Can you see the dimensions in it? Which one?
Yeah, keep going. Next one? Yeah.
See, now to the far left, it's like 11.8,
11.8,
and then you get to the far right, it's 11.2,
right.
and there where the ramp is, it's 11. I can't read that there. 11.6.
But this is the existing condition,
I'm pretty confused about this. I looked up.
so it may, the whatever's there may not be parallel with the right-of-way. We may be able to achieve that 12-foot. Now, is the 12-foot include the curbstone?
Oh, we spent so much time on that. Does the 12-foot include the curbstone? Taylor, do you remember?
We never,
I think we discussed it forever and we never decided. When I took my tape measure, do you remember?
we never.
I think we went from the end of the curb. I think it includes the curb.
I think it would.
We just wanted 12 feet where you could put a foot not in the street.
Yeah.
So to me, the spirit of it is,
Stroller wheel.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think the answer to your question is yes.
Well, if that bottom left dimension is 11.8, and that's the outside face of the curb, and then you see the little dip to the left of that,
But it's
We may have that.
It's 12 feet from the curb to the building. It's not 12
from the
feet,
outside face of the
like-
curb
so
to the, oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
12 feet.
What
from the
is
edge of
the-
curb to the edge of the building.
Is it, so,
No, from the
finish
edge-
your thought. You're 11.7 from,
The outside face of the curb, almost 11.8. And that's,
That's to the ramp, right?
no, I'm talking the bottom left.
Oh, bottom left, sorry.
Bottom left
but the
dimension.
bottom left is set
So that's-
further back than the
Yeah, that's to the
front of
existing
building.
condition. So once it's surveyed properly along the street right of way, we may easily exceed the 12 feet.
Let's just make sure we do.
But it's 11'8" to the property line and then 6 feet to the face of the building.
Wait, 6 feet to the fit, what?
From there where it's indented for the entry, is that what you're saying? Is that 6 feet?
Well, if you go to the bottom left dimension,
Yeah.
Can you zoom in, just so it's easy to
Here.
see? Yeah.
no, that's 4 feet. That's the bay.
6 feet here.
If you
Go all the way to the left.
go all the way to the left.
There,
Yeah.
those numbers are.
So there's a dimension of about 11'8" from the outside face of the curb to the inside edge of the sidewalk, and from that edge to the building is 6 feet.
The question I
So if I'm at the edge of the curb and I keep walking until I'm nose to nose with the building, you're saying I'm traveling like 15 feet?
Well, if you're at the edge of the
17 feet.
curb and you're going all the way to the building, you're almost at
18.
18 feet.
Okay, so that's great, that's perfect.
Yep.
We don't need it scooted back, but you need to know that 12 feet of it will be considered.
Right,
the
but if
sidewalk.
that 12 feet includes the curbstone,
We are already there, but that's what
I
he's
think
saying.
we're already there.
Yeah.
We just need it surveyed properly with the
Okay.
DPW.
So you can get 12 feet from here to the ramp?
Correct.
Oh.
Right, the 12 feet would be to the face of the ramp.
I think we definitely need
That's-
that
then that's what
clarified
we're
on the
looking for.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that that's what we were saying. I thought it was saying it was 11 to the.
I know these
ramp.
numbers are
That's what I
very.
thought, too. That's what I thought, too, when I wrote the letter. So in that sense, we wouldn't need relief, Mr.
Yeah, we
Chair?
definitely need plans that clearly delineate that, because this is like a whole Tetris
And no
number.
relief is needed, that just is by right, that aspect. If that's
Right,
what it says.
We would probably need to submit a civil engineering drawing to the DPW for their approval
Right.
on, curb cut, curb detail, et cetera. Is that it?
I mean, and that, would it be easier to stipulate or condition a waiver, or would be a waiver, be an approval with a condition that be properly engineered and planned out, yeah.
So that eliminates, assuming that we have the civil engineer provide the plans and it all measures the way that we're thinking it measures, that eliminates one need of the variance. The next variance listed is less than 9 feet wide per parking spot. On the plans, it looks like they're labeled as 9 feet wide by 18, so are they 9 feet or are they not 9
No,
feet?
they're 9 feet by 18.
9 by 18,
Yeah,
so
I-
you don't need a variance.
Well, yeah, but the depth.
The depth
is an
The
inch.
depth, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
but the
separate.
width does not, if the width is 9 feet and they are 9 feet,
They don't need a
they don't need
variance.
something.
Right, so I think it was a depth.
The
guide,
depth,
so,
one
yeah,
short of the
9
depth.
You
feet.
don't need a variance for the width, so you still need a variance on the depth by a foot and the drive aisles.
And the drive
are off
aisles.
by
But the depth
2
is also
inches.
part of the, right, so now we've got short
Yeah.
depth and short drive aisles. This
These
is,
two are the last two.
yeah.
So we're short a foot on the depth and 2 inches, 5 inches, and 8 inches, and 6 inches. So the largest one is 6 inches. But if they eliminate 2 spots, it's 2 less cars that are at risk of being two-way traffic. By right, they can eliminate those 2
When
spots.
on the planning board, when you were on the planning board writing this bylaw, the sentiment was that that you would be that it would be okay to waive the number of parking spaces as a, I mean, that's
Yeah, I mean,
that's where the
it's
give
part-
is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to minimize that because
course.
it always has to be parcel by parcel, because our clear intention is to preserve the quality of life of the abutting neighbors, because we're encouraging development and we're trying to encourage it in harmony with the neighbors, and the neighbors are mostly concerned about the cars.
Right.
And so we're trying to tuck as many in as safely as we can for the new residents, and not just say, okay, 3 spots is great, park them as comfortably as you can, and we'll throw the rest of them on Glenwood because it's too narrow. So the minimum number removed to make it all work well is what we're shooting for. And I feel fine with the commercial on the street. Seems like it would be fine because there's currently nothing parked there, and it's a decent length.
So the biggest concern and waiver here is the drive aisle that is only 18 feet wide. Which
Se-
is the
Starting up 17.
17.
One
Which
of
one is that?
17, but 17 and also with
If you go
short
to the
depth for the car.
architectural garage layout, that has all the dimensions on it.
It's the gap there between the.
Next, the other way, yeah. There you go.
It's like when you're
So
picturing
you
pulling
can-
out of your space, you're picturing that you also have that extra
Oh,
foot
this,
of
I
depth into
corrected
your
that
parking
dimension, that
space.
18 feet.
And you only have,
18 feet. Okay.
The 18 feet is to the column line. It's actually 17 feet to the face of the elevator. Mr. Kennedy,
Yeah.
it's 17, 18 feet.
So that's the biggest waiver
Yep.
of all of them, because all the other ones are smaller. And the biggest concern with 17 feet is two-way traffic happening. So if you eliminated 2 spots by right, which would be the bottom 2 on the left, the only cars going through the 17-foot wide drive aisle are those 2 cars parked right next to the stairwell. Is that accurate or?
And the two, to its 90-degree right.
The handicap and the right of the
Right. So it would be the second and third one from the top left. Yeah, the second.
It's a matter of back.
Yeah, that's just backing up. Yeah.
It's just the two-way traffic. People can either right now and how concerned are you that these 4 people are going to be coming upon at the exact same time as each other? And to kind of your point, people,
Get used to how to drive it.
I mean, I was driving.
You're right.
I'm driving around
Yeah.
talking in my Wagoneer in a street that has parking on both sides and it's two-way traffic. It should be one way, one car. And it's not the greatest solution because you've got bikers.
but like, again, you didn't approve that. You're
No,
just
I
dealing
know.
with that. So it had to be like, how much can people bear?
I don't think
How much can we
we're really
protect people?
Can I ask a practical question? The elevator, that where it's low, I realize this is an open can of worms. Can it be moved down 4 feet?
No.
No?
No, the elevator is fixed. It's, again, I'm the second architect on this project. A lot of these building components were fixed coming in. The elevator is one of them. We really can't move it, or it just might as well throw out the whole design and start anew. And the reason it can't be moved down 4 feet is that if you go to the second floor or first floor plan, you can see you can see the entry area there with the ramp. So we really can't move it
Right.
toward the street any further.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you move back up to the previous picture, is there any reason, you've got 3 garage door openings, one on the left, one sort of the middle, one on the right. Is there any reason there couldn't be a 4th garage door opening for those other 2 cars right there?
Sure, and those could back right up too.
Which would eliminate the number of cars traversing through that area by
Yeah.
2.
Excellent.
No, I think that's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Excellent.
Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
If I could just raise something to the chair, maybe Matt could help. It seems to me, we keep saying the bottom left 2 cars are the most difficult to park. It seems to me that it'll be the bottom left and then the bottom right will
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
second right. Because that distance is almost the same, right? Right, I just want to make sure. That seems to me like that would be the,
Well, but the
yeah.
one on the bottom left then has to maneuver around the 3rd
Yeah.
car on the left.
Yeah.
which is
Right.
stuck
Yeah,
up.
that
Under,
extra strategy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I see it.
I mean,
don't know.
again, like,
Just trying to flag something.
No,
I don't
no,
know.
it's a good point.
Is that easier than the bottom right? I don't know. Well,
I might get rid of the bottom left and the bottom right.
That's what I'm
bottom left
saying.
and right.
That's what I'm saying.
So Brian, you're basically suggesting that everything parking facing the driveway exits through the driveway.
Yeah.
And nothing pulls in. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, all those 5 cars could all, and that way you only have 2, 4, 6. No, but you only have 4 cars going past the left.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I think these are design considerations all worthy of
So then if the 2 are-
exploration.
Yeah.
And
Design by
that's-
committee never works well.
And I was going to say it's up to the architect to do that, but I would encourage you to try any number of ideas, maybe not necessarily execute them, but like Brian said, maybe take out the lower left and lower right, see what you get, or take out as you suggested, those 2 in the lower left, see what you get.
No, I think we've redesigned it to a better condition, no question about it.
And you don't have to buy those expensive bike racks.
That's
So we
true.
can do it outside. I mean, definitely, if that's allowed,
Or you could
outside.
put
The biking
garbage-
outside?
Yeah,
I think the biking should be in the garage. I mean,
under the garage?
I
Okay.
mean, you're going to have to put a structure outside. I don't think you could.
Other people
You're
want to
quite-
leave
I
their
mean, I
their
don't-
bikes out in the rain.
Yeah, we can. It was meant
Do
to
some
be
kind of
resident
shed
bike
outside,
parking.
so easy
Now
in
you're
and
building
out.
a structure in the buffer, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. Putting a structure in the buffer zone.
There's another space over there, this vegetation area, when you kind of pull in on the right-hand side, that could be another spot outside if it's outdoor.
I think it would be nice to try to keep the bike parking in the garage, which was the intention.
Yeah, I mean, by freeing up, just speculatively, by freeing up those two spaces in the lower left, you could do any number of variations with the garbage, recycling bins, bike. That's your area.
Yep.
But, I mean, I think at this point, it would be, it'd behoove us all to continue the hearing to a date in the future, without being specific, and giving you time to work this out so that we can get the drawings to Taylor, and then give Taylor and Matt and Tom sufficient time, which is, and our rules is 2 weeks, and then we'll call a meeting 2 weeks after receipt of those drawings.
It was also flagged to us that there's an outstanding fine for the fire that was on the site, and personally, I feel like that should be resolved before we revisit this topic.
I'm not sure that's really relevant to our concerns. I understand what you're saying, but nothing's going to happen till the demo permit is issued, and we can proceed with our work without resolution of that. Those are two things going on in parallel tracks.
It's like if there were a demo delay, we wouldn't say we had to stop until the demo delay had passed.
Right.
But they cannot build until they get a demo. It's not going to happen.
Right. So, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that's a parallel track. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, so I'm happy with continuing this. What? Unbeknownst, we just solved 2 of the 4 what I thought outstanding zoning relief were needed because they had already actually done it.
Yes.
Like it was already 9 foot wide that we thought they needed it. They don't. They've already got it. The 12-foot sidewalk width. None of us knew they had it, but you actually do have it already. So that's actually a good thing.
Yeah,
So
we'd like to see.
We do need proof of that.
Yes, we need proof of it, but because, well, if we don't get proof of it and they go to get a building permit and they don't have it, they're right back here, so that's in everybody's interest. But we still have the parking stall depth, which is 1 foot short, and we have to, like...
I think we should decide on the last 2 before we send them back to do more work and more engineering.
Exactly, I don't want to...
I don't want them to come back and they've done all the things and change that to a garage door for the last 2 spots, and I'm like, except we're still not going to give you a waiver on.
If
It's not going to change the 18 to 19. It's not going
right.
to change the driveway aisles.
If 19 feet kills the project, then why have them spend any time with their engineers?
And it would need a variance, which would be a unanimous vote. Right?
Yep, it's a 4-person board. You need a unanimous vote, and with your variance ruling, think about how you need to write the decision. If you're going to grant a variance, you need to prove that there's hardship and that the building cannot be built based off of any other site-specific thing or environmental thing for any other reason than what is being proposed. And you'd have to prove that in your decision. You'd have to say, we are allowing an 18-foot drive aisle because it is impossible to other site conditions. Otherwise, you open yourself up to legal challenges on what your variance.
Well, hopefully there's some way to.
All that in a motion?
Can we opine on our feelings on it? So if we say to them, we want to, next time we talk about this project, because I'm not sensing that we're signing off 100% on anything at the moment. So I'm assuming we're going to see this again.
Oh, we have to.
Right. So if we're seeing it again, if we say, we recognize these are the challenges, but we want to see your best effort to eliminating the drive aisle issue and the 18-foot to 19-foot in the next iteration, so that we can say you did those things. We're not willing to compromise on the buffer zone. We're not willing to compromise on the sidewalk. We must maintain that, and we're willing. You have 2 extra spots by right taken away. Prove that you can't make the drive aisles wider and get 19 feet. Add the garage door.
But in the interim, we can give them the variance on the 18-foot depth. Are you saying that?
I mean, Taylor's saying we have to prove that without question that we tried to not give a variance and there was no way around it. So until they take the spots out of the 2 spots away by right, which can trigger another variance or waiver, We haven't seen it yet. I feel comfortable saying that if they can prove they cannot do it, I'm not sure that I feel that this 1 foot and the small drive aisle for those 2 cars would prevent me from approving the project if they are proving they really cannot solve the problem.
Because it would only be 2 cars.
We're not giving a variance right this minute, but I think that 2 residents and residents in this building, as functioning adults owning their unit, can figure out a way to safely maneuver this building. I don't think it puts the public in danger. I don't think that I think people can handle this situation as functioning adults in a dark car. But I think we need them to prove they cannot fix it. So my personal feeling.
But you're also suggesting that you will be swayed by the fact that they say the elevator is fixed and we just can't fix it.
I mean,
Which is like,
I also know that they're sitting here saying this whole board approved a much less safe, less effective, less efficient, bigger building 6 months ago, and I'm the only person here that wasn't on that board. So the 3 of you already approved a worse project. I think this is a huge improvement. And I don't think it's fair to say move the elevator, we want to see it again. Every time they have to come back, which maybe is their own fault. I don't know if you want to point fingers. I don't know anyone needs to point fingers. But it does cost money. And if we're not going to approve the project, I don't think it is fair to keep saying, well, now move the elevator, now do this. Well, now we're okay with the buffer zone. Now we're kind of okay with the sidewalk being smaller. If we keep moving the needle, they keep chasing it. I don't think that that's really us putting our best foot forward either.
I think I just need to hear from the engineer not under the fire of a meeting in front of us.
Yeah.
And the building commissioner to approve the safety parameters of it. And I think any effort, and they have made several efforts on the part of the applicant to, I mean, we keep saying, well, this is the plan, we've come to the last iteration, and then we change the iteration. Like there's another solution out there. We're just kind of working our way towards it, and I don't.
So I appreciate that. I can't see, I'm not speaking for Matt, but I can't see a time where me, Tom, and Matt are going to be in a room and be okay with suboptimal dimensions.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that as staff members. We may have opinions, but it's also our job to uphold what the rules are, and we're going to defer to what the rules say. So I don't think we're going to come back and say, yes, all good. I think you have options. I mean, you can do a technical review. We can get a third party looking at it and asking another expert. I think that's a more honest way to get feedback. But I really struggle with advising the board to approve something that has suboptimal dimensions when we believe that there are possibilities to make it compliant.
It does say 9 by 18 for the parking space, so that is.
They're 9 by 18. Yep. Yeah.
I want to double check that they weren't actually 19 and we were like missing something. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
9 by 18.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Like we missed the sidewalk was actually 12 feet and it was marked as 11, whatever. I understand. I just want to make sure that it's not another one of those cases where you actually have the space and we just didn't understand it.
Yeah. I was going to say I've heard Tom say a number of times that he doesn't make the decisions. He advises the board on what the bylaw says. And I would just say, just to that, implicit in that is the board has discretion in terms of safety, maneuverability. The town professionals are here to advise you what the rules say, but obviously we're here seeking a couple of items of relief, and I think that's ultimately where the board's discretion lies. Yep. And I just like the board to consider. I would say Tom would be the first one to say he's not the decider. He just points out what the law is, and we of course are asking for relief. And I'd ask you to consider that it falls within the scope under the definition of the bylaw. That's all.
Have you heard enough tonight, Tim, to said?
Actually, I have not. So, I mean, I don't know what we are doing in the next meeting. I mean, like just now, we heard from Brian over and over again. Every time we come over here, give these guys a direction, let them work on it. And it feels to us that if we have worked on those things, we are good that meeting. And it feels, and you guys can look at all the video meetings. Every time we come, we have satisfied you guys on whatever you guys asked the previous meeting. And the moment we come to the next one, I think there's something else. And I don't know. I mean, we need to know what do we need to do next. And in a concrete way, this is what we got to work. I'm not saying we're not going to work. I just don't feel like, she just said moving needles all the time. Exactly, that's what I feel all the time over here.
I think we made a lot of progress. I understand what you're saying.
Well, last meeting, it was the same thing, Jack, you know, and you were like, okay, if you guys work on Tom's things, work it out, and then we are back. We met with Tom, there were 10 items, he said. Tim pointed out, Taylor and Tim, we pointed out, we fixed all those things.
I think he was very clear that we needed the paperwork before after hours, the day of the meeting.
Yeah.
What?
I think he was very clear that it would be helpful to have the responses from you sooner than after.
Absolutely, so that's why we met way before. And even when we met, like when we met last with Tom, like 10 days ago?
Yes, Tuesday.
Even before that, I said, Tom, if you're meeting, we will need to know what you need so that when we come, we show you that everything is done. We don't want to meet you and then you say, do this, and we can't. So when we met with him, 10 days, whatever, all the pointers, and Taylor was there. Yes, great. And then he says, okay, I need the turning. He says, I can't do it, but I need an engineer to do it. And show me that. If it can be done, I'm okay with it. So the problem is we gave it to the engineer. Engineer was not there. That's a third-party thing. We were not. And we were like, hey, we have a meeting. Tom asked us this. And that was a part of the thing which Tom says, I need to just see it, and I'm good. We have shown you it works.
Well, you until tonight.
I understood. You haven't seen it, and it's just that we tried for it. And the engineer is showing it can be done, it's just not to the liking. That's a different story, you know. So if that was, last meeting was said, work with Tom, if you guys can work with Tom and Taylor, if you can work all the issues, you know, we are good. Now we are here, and, you know, like we said, okay, 12 foot, the front foot, okay, Tim, they knew that it could be done from the outside of the curb, which we clarified just now, and if it is, then that satisfied that 12 feet, you know. Yeah, I
Would
don't
you like us to take a vote tonight?
you know, I mean,
We could.
I know.
We could continue the deliberation and take a vote on all these various variances, but in my mind, that would be a risk because you're going to need a unanimous vote. I'm just saying. I think you're hearing some. I understand what you're saying, Sid. It's frustrating, but I think Tim is hearing some valid ideas, and we'd like to have our engineer have a good long look at these turning radiuses and other solutions that you bring forward, and give us 2 weeks to go through them, rather than on the fly here.
Do we want a technical analysis? I mean, is that what?
Yeah. Do we want an analysis?
I mean, hopefully the message to the next parcel is start with the parking and then set your elevator in place. But for this one, what's the best way to get, I mean, I knowing that this is not like, my training, my background, I come to the deliberation with humility, and I look to the insight of experts, and I will take very seriously the fact that you're going to be a unanimous 3 that say this is not something you should approve because it's unsafe and it's a bad precedent and it is against the recommendations of the law, which I trust were written thoughtfully. And so if there is any way to get leeway, I mean, I like your vote idea. If there's any way to get comfortable with, they'll figure it out, what's the way to that?
For staff to be comfortable with it?
No, if there was, to Brian and Amy's point, we deal with weird parking situations in Boston all the time. So if we're gonna go against the recommendation of the laws, which are trying to improve the situations that we deal with all the time in Massachusetts, if is a technical analysis going to give us a new insight into the situation? Is it going to give us the confidence that this is the only way this building can possibly be built? It absolutely must have this number of units and parking and all of that? Or is this just going to be,
That's the crux of the
Yeah,
question.
something I
Is it
can't
gonna
get
give us
comfortable with.
confidence that this is okay, even though it's not up to par. And is this technical analysis done by somebody on the hand, or do we have to go out and find them, or how does this work?
Well,
I mean, I think that also, the big difference here is they're seeking zoning relief, not waivers. We could just say, okay, 10 spots. Make it work, make it be two zone, make it be 9 by 19. We want 24-foot drive aisles. Take away as many parking spots as you want, we can do a relief on that. That doesn't trigger a variance, right?
This is
It's a
waiver.
different waiver as a special permit granting authority.
only if that creates drive aisles that are sufficient?
If
And
that would be,
And
that
you
would be the
do,
message.
I know there's always the opportunity to just vote for the people who voted for you because they had their one vote, but I do think our job is also to represent their interests.
I
And
am
we
not
heard from
recommending-
many,
I am not recommending we do one or the other. I'm just differentiating between what is a zoning relief and what the ramifications of that are, which are unanimous. And if we don't prove beyond a burden of a doubt, we are opening up not only ourselves and the developer to a potential fight, right? If we confirm what I'm saying, I want to be correct, versus a waiver, which would not need unanimous vote and would not open us up by proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that you couldn't do it. That they're different.
yeah, so,
I'm just trying to differentiate between the two. I am in no way suggesting that we do one or the other based on who voted for who. So I don't.
I didn't say who voted for who. I'm saying our job is to hear the feedback of the neighbors and represent them at the
And I
table.
think we're doing our very best to preserve the things the neighbors felt the strongest about. We're talking about maintaining a buffer zone. We're talking about the sidewalk.
That was the spirit of the bylaw. When
Which I
the
thought
neighbors
was
came
me.
out on this project, it was about not putting cars on their street and
Parking
being
was
careful
number
about
one.
parking. That was far and away the
So
lead
then should
concern
we
for
make-
this street at this location.
So then should we be reconsidering the outside parking, making the inside parking safer?
If we waive the parking spaces.
I'm saying waive the buffer, put the 4 parking spots outside.
but that would be
And
a
I'm saying,
variance.
I don't think,
You can't just create a
That would be
non-conformity.
another variance.
So, Sid, I hear you on the coming back time and time. Now, from staff perspective, I actually think Sid did actually do exactly what we asked him to. He met with staff, and we came up with the list of relief that was necessary for this project. Now, there's a lot of nuance to that because the relief is shown, or how the relief is needed, or the exact dimensions of the relief is shown in plan. But I do think that Sid's team came in. We did discuss it. I will say I wish the turning radius came in earlier, but we'll get over it. And we narrowed down what variances were needed. I do still need proof that there's 12-foot. I just want to see that on,
Okay.
like on one. of
Which
your
is fair.
plans. Yep.
Yeah.
So I do agree that there does need to be a little bit more direction in what will happen next meeting. If they come to the planning board still requesting the same relief, which we've already figured out what it needs to be, what's going to be the outcome of that? Are they going to get a vote?
that's what I'm saying. How do we get to confidence that if we, Tom had concerns. I don't feel right about it.
I don't,
Go ahead, Brian.
what I want is for he's at the table, but he hasn't had looked at it yet. The engineer to look at the turning radius at his desk when he has a chance, not looking at it for the first time, and say, does it work? Do I like it? Do I dislike it, but it works? It doesn't work? I feel like that's important. Because without that, I've got this drawing that I can imagine how it could work with my Matchbox cars, but I don't know that it works. And if it does, and we think that this is the most reasonable way to maximize parking in this space, which is something the neighborhood wants, which is something that we want, to make this a viable project, I could easily vote for the variance for the drive aisle width. And I could vote for the variance for the, I mean, I think it would help if they actually wrote a memo saying why they were helpful, because I think then we'd have some, their argument on why it's necessary. We may not agree with it, but without that, because the crucial thing here is the turning radii, and we haven't, there's no way you guys could have reviewed them. We got that tonight at 6 o'clock.
I agree that that's important. Matt, this is going to be awkward because I'm going to be talking about you and you're right here. But what is, like, what is it that you're looking, are you just looking for Matt to say, yes, a vehicle fits there? Because I think no matter what's going to happen, he's going to say it's not the safest option. It's not the best option. I think actually the architect's drawing or their engineer proves that it's not the best drawing, and we can just envision what it would be like if someone was putting their trash in and this person didn't see them and they're trying to do a 3-point turn at best. We can interpret that that's going to be the not safest option. So I think we can do that. I just think the outcome is going to be the engineer saying it is physically possible.
We need to know that first.
But
Yeah, well, I mean, to chime in, I mean, that's the whole point of the zoning, right? That's why those dimensions are in the zoning. So, you know, I would be concerned of, we have zoning. The zoning is not that much different than, these requirements are not much different than what I've seen in other communities and other research I've done. So why would we be going with dimensions that are lower? And in terms of the variance, you know, as some of you have said, you have to show a hardship. So what is the hardship? Hardship is for the lot, right? What's the hardship on the lot that requires them to have these reduced dimensions? There's been no alternative that says, well, if we did fewer units, if we did fewer parking, if we changed the layout, that it wouldn't work, and thus we have to do this.
Yeah, but, yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest, it's 23 feet 10 inches behind the bottom left car. If that were 24 inches right there, 2 inches more, we wouldn't be having this conversation about that one aspect right there.
I just want to point out the dimensions are not correct on the plan.
Well, that is an important thing to point out. Thank you. So we need to make sure those dimensions are correct. I'm just going to state that right
Which
there.
dimensions are not correct?
The 23 feet 10 inches doesn't account for the columns.
It's to the middle of the column.
Yeah, the dot is in the middle of the column there in the center.
So you want that to read 23 feet 7.5 inches?
The spots
Well,
are
I want it
also
to be
a foot
accurate.
shorter, so it's for what you're used to parking with. You're a foot shorter for going out of your.
Well, I made the assumption that they wouldn't be backing into the column. So it's really just to the column line. That's what the 23 foot 10 inches is to. But I can dimension to the face of column if that's what you're requesting.
Yeah, I would assume the width is the narrowest point along that aisle.
And to be fair, I would argue that's important because if we do give you a variance and we give you a 23-foot 10-inch variance, and then it goes to get a building permit and they measure it's 23 foot, we don't want to be back here. So it has to be right, and then we have to look at it and decide if we agree with it being right. So thank you for that point.
Well, similarly to the 18 feet, we've just heard at the meeting that the 18 feet is actually less than 18 feet. And it's a burden on staff to have to review this multiple times with dimensions that aren't actually correct.
Let's move on toward a vote on continuing the hearing, but to that end, I think we need to be very clear about what we are looking for at our next hearing for the sake of both ourselves and the applicant. I think Sid makes a very important point that he feels like he's and there's always something else added, and I think we should reach a definitive conclusion. So we're looking for accurate dimensions on the rendering. We're looking for a redoing of the turning radiuses. I think it's entirely, my view, correct me if you feel differently, it's an option that they might consider to reduce by 2 spaces or more or less. I think your choice of which those spaces might be is entirely up to you. What you do with that gained space is up to you. Can you, with those gained space, can you improve on the width on the passageways, or I'm going to repeat everything, but the bike shed, or a bike room or what have you, or rejigger it. But I think that's what we're looking for in the next go round, and I think we'd probably be ready to approve it or grant the variances and waivers.
Or vote to grant them to be fair.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Vote to.
I share Brian's sentiments.
Yeah.
I did have one follow-up question. You got the staff, full-time parking attendant. Is that in your memo?
It's in Tom's memo. That's what takes it away from being a special permit into a variance.
So
It's not parking attendant. Have you modeled the HOA budget to have a parking attendant make all this go away?
No, not yet.
You haven't modeled it, or you have done it and it's not feasible?
Nothing yet. I mean, right now we are just in permitting process, just to get started.
That makes all this go away.
Yeah.
well, our next meeting is August 4th, and if you could get all of this to Taylor
Yep.
by the 21st of July or sooner, that would assure that we talk about this at our next meeting.
Sure.
That seem reasonable to everybody? To that end, I will accept a motion for continuing this hearing to a date. How do you say it, to a date?
You can do it to August 4th.
I'll do it to August 4th, and if we're not ready, then we'll just continue it to the next meeting. There a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We need to, we continued the hearing on 910 Main. We need to, once again, continue that to our next meeting because we're not ready to consider that. So I'll take a motion to continue 910 Main.
So moved.
Which meeting?
August 4th.
Hopefully August 4th, if the peer reviewer gets her work done in time. And I think she's starting this week now, right? Yep. Is there any reason to explain to the board what we decided to do about that?
No.
Okay.
We are signing a contract with her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
Contract's done.
So that's to August 4th. I have on my notes that we have a meeting on the 21st. Is that?
We do.
So, but we're continuing to August 4th, though, because it won't be ready by the 21st. Okay.
So, there was a motion. Was there a second to that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up in the public hearing is the bylaw changes that we are trying to finalize. I asked you all to go through them with your own, by yourself, and see what if anything needs to be changed, what any errors you might have caught. Mr. Feigenbaum is here. I gathered on behalf of the ZBA, and he's certainly welcome to. No, you're here as an individual citizen. Okay, you're still welcome to comment on them.
Well, I submitted my proposed changes to sections 9.4 and 9.5, special permit and site plan review. A number of them are simply grammatical or for clarity or consistency, because they're like almost all of the rest of the bylaw, it's full of wording problems. So I tried to fix those. I do that because sitting on the zoning
Do you
board.
want to come forward, I mean, just so the audience can hear you?
Thank you. So as I was saying, I went through 9.4 and 9.5 of the bylaw in detail, triggered by a proposal that I wanted to make to 9.5.1.4, which has to do with the triggering of site plan review in certain cases. And that came up because at the Zoning Board of Appeals, we spent more than a few hours hashing back and forth about a property on the upper end of Abbey Road. There's a house that was proposed there, and I won't belabor it, but there was a long back and forth discussion that took hours and multiple meetings trying to figure out whether that house conformed to the zoning bylaw. And so, and it had to do with the basement. It was the difference between a basement and a garage, and what was what they wanted to put into the house, a garage or a basement, and it went on and on. And triggered by that, I just went back through, I started at that section to try to define garage, the headroom, the basement, and so on, in such a way that sitting on the Zoning Board of Appeals, we would have no problem trying to figure out the answer. Because I just said it, but it's a huge waste of time for both the applicant and the zoning board, and it often comes out wrong. So having done that, I printed off the whole section 9.4 and 9.5, and I went through it, and it really needs lots of little changes to be consistent, accurate, complete, and correct, I would say. So that's what you're looking at here. And what I'm looking for is I assume that you've got changes that you're going to propose to the town meeting of your own in the fall. And I'm hoping that you can incorporate what I've proposed here or something like it. And I'm happy to work with Taylor or anybody else to have my portion of this incorporated if you're so inclined.
Did you send that to the planning board?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, we have it. I'm just looking at it right now.
So there was nothing that would make me happier than to make your life easier, because I don't want the bylaw to be confusing to the applicant or to the ZBA. It should be straightforward. So
That's the point.
I'm agreeing with you.
Well, that in print, that's the principle.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether all these little changes I'm proposing do that.
And so the issue for me is we have a red line version from Community Scale, who's given us some versions. We have red line version from you. I just want to make it easier for us to look at, because it'd be hard to incorporate from two different versions. So,
If you want to give it to me, I'll do it for you. I mean, I'll incorporate them, and you can look. You can see the whole thing for you.
that would be helpful.
There'll be a small fee. No fee.
Do you have the red line version? I think I sent you the red line version, didn't I? I'll send it again.
You may have, but I don't think so.
I'll send
But
it again.
I have a bad memory, so send it again. And when should I do that by? In the next
We'll be
meeting?
hearing this again at the next next two meetings, and we're
Sure.
going to try to wrap this up, in my mind, by August 8th and vote on it, and so that our legal counsel can go through it.
I can do that.
Planning to talk about this on the 21st, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then again on the 4th.
right, yeah. So we have.
You're pointing to the other changes, not mine. Is that right?
Well, all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly yours, you know, all of this.
ZBA, from the public,
Okay.
from any members of this board, from Taylor, anybody. So we welcome those. Not to say we're going to accept them all, but we certainly want to consider them.
Is there any possibility that just try this on for size, that you could, at your next ZBA meeting, add your discussion here as an agenda item for them to look at it too, so that when we consider them as part of the revision, it's sort of coming from the ZBA and you, or just from you. Either way is fine, but like if the ZBA said, this is great, we love this, that would have 3 times the weight of just you, I suppose. Maybe 5 times, depending on how you do the math. Just an idea, throwing it out there. Try it on.
I'll
Consider it.
consider it.
Taylor also wanted to continue the discussion of FAR and GFA. You had brought that up in our discussions. You want to talk to that?
Well, I think we, when Community Scale was here, I think we had a really good discussion about it. A lot of the process was about switching to FAR. And then I think, actually, credit to Amy, brought up some really good reasons of why FAR might not be the best solution. And I think it's worth discussing the pros and cons of GFA versus FAR. And, but that discussion should be based around what is the real goal of limiting either or in different zones. Is it to preserve smaller homes? Is it to only allow smaller homes to be built? Is it to generate some character? I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to, but I think that was, to me, we left that off without finishing that discussion, and I think it's one of the more important ones because a lot of this work is around switching from GFA to FAR.
And that would go beyond the scope of this particular work that we're doing, because I think it would be a global change throughout the whole bylaw, wouldn't it? It appears.
Well, it's how you trigger site plan review.
Yes. So yes, but Carrie's also right. It is actually a central part to what is being proposed here because it is.
Sure.
You don't know what you're reviewing if you don't know who you're reviewing.
GFA, I think, is 6 of the 9 triggers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big part.
Yeah, I think the main difference, David, correct me if I'm wrong, the main difference between the red line from community scale and the red line from the ZBA is that the community scale tries to pare down the applicability of the site plan review and the ZBA tries to expand it. So,
Yep.
like determining who gets sent through site plan review is kind of like really core to the discussion. I mean, I think it will be something that we'll have to like come to our piece with it in terms of streamlining the site plan review process. So I don't disagree with you that it's a little immaterial to how we get the applicant from A to B, regardless of who the applicant is. But I think, and the only reason I think that is because we'll make an initial decision before we make this update to the bylaw, and then we will have a whole much longer discussion about housing in town and what we need to do with lot sizes and multifamily allowances and all of that, and that will blow all our big ideas right up. But in the short term, that's where you get that when you come back with your sort of red line change merged with community scale, that will, I think, be the big difference. Is you will have
It'll be all red.
right.
So I'll do that and submit it.
But it would be helpful for us to know.
But Taylor, I'm sure I've received it. Could you send me their proposed changes also?
I'll make sure.
And I'll get that back before your next meeting.
When we talk about FAR, the thing that I feel like I've been on this board for 2.5 years, and I feel like every time we look at it, we calculate it slightly differently. And I feel like if we need to define how we calculate it in here, is it from the exterior dimensions? Is it, I know for ADUs, it's the living space inside, so it's always going to be that. That's by state law, I believe. But when we were dealing with 10 Converse, we had well, the FAR was changing, but the outside of the building wasn't changing because all of a sudden some parking spaces inside didn't count, like that were on ground level, some did count. The machine room got taller, or the atrium and the entrance got taller, and that cut down. I feel like we just need to understand how we're defining it and be consistent with everything. And it may be that the building department already is consistent in how they do it, but I feel like it should be defined in the bylaw. But maybe I'm off base.
No, you're right. There's definitely more clarity that we can do there. And the way that my opinion of it is that I think that definition of FAR is actually good, but it's all of the things that are in a building that may not count to FAR. That's where the problem may arise. So the situation you were talking about in 10 Converse, where they didn't count the mechanical rooms or the other parts of the building which didn't count to the square footage, then change the FAR. So I think we need to clear that up. I think that we did some of that with the definitions, like clarifying basement.
So does that suddenly reduce the square footage of a home because the basement is now not a floor? So I'm thinking of it from the realtor perspective. So a bunch of people who thought they had 3,000 square foot homes now have 2,500
I mean, who counts the basement, how it's counted, it varies a great deal. I have had mortgage brokers. If you're getting a loan, a mortgage with federally insured funds, you're not counting it. I don't care how beautiful it is. Kitchen.
You're advertising it on Zillow.
Right. Well, no, it's true. Like the reason they count garages, mortgage brokers say, we can't count the garage. And I say, well, the town does. Right. So they kind of, it's
Yeah, you're taxed for it.
Yeah, that's a move.
well, they say, well, that's not the same thing that should be selling for $600 a foot. It's very tricky. There are rules depending on what office you are in.
That's good lawyering. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just sent that to you, so when you,
Good, I'll send you the revision.
it should be tracking any changes, so.
It will, yeah, of course.
Good.
Okay.
Anybody have any?
I have a bunch of comments.
Yes, so do I. Go ahead. You go first.
Okay, the first is, as you know, and as I promised this board over a year ago, I've been working on revising section 3.5, which to solve many problems, not just the couple of problems that have been solved in here, which are to change who is the SPGA and to fix the vernalia rule of a structure, no special permit is needed. There are other issues that I think need to be addressed. For instance, a change of use from a non-conforming to a conforming technically also still needs a special permit in here in 3.5, so that should be corrected. Section 3.5.3 is to all structures, but section 3.5.5 is only to single-family and duplex houses. So I propose that we should be fixing that so that 3.5.3 is to non-single-family duplex and 3.5.5, so that you don't have to look at it and say, well, there's two sets of rules for me. I've got this rule. And then we have the whole issue about the variance with continuing a wall. We had the garage that held the Packard car that we all debated whether.
I think that car went by me on the street the other day, and I wanted to take a picture and text you all, but I was not quick enough.
I wish you had.
It's a beautiful car. I can care less about cars, and it caught my eye, and I was like, oh, it's a Packard. I bet that's that guy.
But there's ways to solve that too, which would just be if you're adding an additional nonconformity, and that's actually case law tells what additional so things that could be cleaned up in that. So I spent a long time working on that, the better part of a year actually. I shared it with Jack and talked about it and made some revisions. I shared it with Taylor. We're going to talk about it at some point. The long and the short of that is I'm hesitant to accept either of the changes that they're proposing, any of the changes they're proposing to 3.51 or 3.573, because I don't want to confuse the town by making two small changes there and then coming back 6 months later in Springtown meeting. Also don't want to confuse this with that. So I would argue,
how far, I mean, they really only made one small change. How far off are you from what the, like, how many changes are we talking about to 3.5? You can't, I mean, we're gonna,
So we could sit down and talk.
do you want to send a copy around to us? So we,
I'm
not ready
do
to,
that.
not ready to turn your
No,
baby out of the
actually,
world?
I am. I just don't know whether I can do that legally.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I am ready. I think it needs to, I mean, I suppose it could be something we can continue talking about in this meeting. What I didn't want to do is confuse. We just hired a consultant.
Yeah.
We spent a long time. I don't want to say, oh, and here's our thing that I've been drafting and have it, people say, well, we don't want that. We're going to throw it out because of what Brian brought in. So all I'm saying is for those two sections, I'd argue we shouldn't make any changes to that for now. And maybe say, and we're working on it, we have a public hearing saying, we're working on revisions to 3.5, as I promised over a year ago now, and bring that in the springtime meeting. I'd love to bring it to fall time meeting, I just don't want to confuse it. So that's one comment I wanted to make. The second comment is 4.1.1, the one change that's proposed.
Table of dimensional requirements.
Changes to 4.1.1, which is changed that. We tried that 3 years ago at town meeting, and 3 years ago was it? Even 3 years ago?
What dimensional?
The dimension to change the lot width from 120 to 100 to match the minimum lot.
Yeah, but again, and I love him so much, but again, I don't think Dieb had the right pitch on that. I think he misunderstood. I think he pitched it as a Scrivener's error, and I don't think it was a Scrivener's error.
It was not.
I don't think the example, I think he could have given visual examples that would have been, I think we can revisit it. I think we have to have a different understanding of it.
So that the community scale made a revision to 4.1.1.
Yes, and that exact revision, the planning board, before I was on it, you may have been on it at the time, was brought to town meeting. And town meeting said, it was brought forward to town meeting saying, this is Scrivener's error, it really should have been 100, never should have been 120. And town meeting definitively said, no, that wasn't a Scrivener's error, that was the intent when it was made, it should be 120 foot width. No, we're not gonna make that change. I think your point is a good one. I don't want this one line here to have people saying, oh, they're coming back again with the same change and take away from the rest of the bylaw, is all.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, but I think, you know, each of these will have to have some explanation with it, and I think as long as we don't say the phrase Scrivener's error, and we do it, you know, I mean, I do think it was intended to, I mean, I
think what you're saying is a couple of good graphics to demonstrate that,
this
you know,
happens,
you could
we
sort
want-
of
we want
see
this to go like
the
this,
logic
right.
of this and not
I mean,
say,
you know.
and I think that, yeah, that's exactly what could make all the difference.
Yeah.
If you had a really good graphical example, you could look and see.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, but now I can't see if it might take me a moment to find it. So why don't I pause there for now and let others speak, because I want to find the last thing I wanted to mention.
John, do you have anything?
So when it comes to, you know, either gross floor area or FAR, definitions are everything. In a sense, you know, the difference between gross floor area and FAR, it's the area part, the floor area. One says, you know, ratio, one's floor area. It comes to the same thing. How you know, what is that number? You know, for the house, it's a little bit the same. So you need to define that. I think the FAR, I think coming up with a ratio relative to the size of the lot makes a lot of sense, as opposed to doing it by neighborhoods where sometimes the lots vary a lot. You know, you don't, on the west side, they tend to be 20,000 on that side of Cambridge Street. Other parts of town, you see a lot more variability, and you think that, you know, you have houses that are on 7,000 foot lots, 8,000 foot lots in a 5,000 foot zone.
And next door is 12,000 square foot.
And next door might be 21,000.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You know, I'm real familiar with one of those, you know, because, you know, just sort of a ratio would maybe better serve the 7,000 foot lot and the 20,000 foot lot, you know. You see that, you'd have that consistency on the west side, and you don't have it so much anywhere else. It can be very variable, you know?
Because the west side was developed entirely after the advent of building permits and zoning, and because the rest of the town existed zoning law, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it was, certainly, they had different standards, and still up there, it's not all 20,000, it's a little,
No, there's some oddball lots.
I
We saw a lot
don't
of
quite
lots.
know what the standard was, but I'm familiar with the lots, and, you know, they're a little loose. It's sort of 20,000, but you could do 18, you know, or 19, and if you needed a couple thousand of those feet to be in Lexington, that could happen too. Some of the houses on the odd side of Thornbury own 1,000 feet in Lexington. And that's how they got to 20,000. So they get like a tax bill for, you know.
Yeah, that little bit's part of Lexington.
Depending on where they sleep, it depends on what school they're in.
Right.
It used to be if the bedroom was over
Right.
the line, then
Right.
they had to go to a different school.
Yeah, and these are just like little slices of Lexington. You know, look at the description, it's like 10 feet, 15 feet by 90 feet.
Women in here for something. I know we had somebody, maybe they were over the line and
Yeah.
to do something, and they also had to go through the Woburn board.
I mean, I never,
Can't remember who it
Place
was.
next to
It was a
green-
while ago.
Green rubber?
Maybe. I don't remember. There was a lot that came through, and they also had to go through all the
Yeah,
approvals.
so there's plenty of lots where there are accesses in Winchester, but the lot is in Woburn.
Yeah,
Or
I don't, somebody needed to do something and came through us, I think.
Whole Foods.
Yeah, yeah,
So this is
fair.
Winchester.
well,
Anyway,
I don't know how that lot, I don't know where the town line is, you know, the.
Cuts right through Whole Foods.
wait, sorry, you got
right
us all
through- right
thinking
through
about the
buil-
town
Practically
lines.
through the building, yeah.
Okay.
Practically through the building.
It does. No,
Yeah.
it does go through the
Yeah,
building.
that was the,
Do we tax part of that building?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Front of the, I think it's
The
mostly.
expensive part, hopefully
Our
the
whole
meat
commercial
section
base,
and the
Well,
yeah.
I think it's the produce in the front of the store.
is that how they do it? Do they do it by like the value of each department? And
That's right.
We've got the dried cereal section.
It's
Woburn has the bread and that.
produce, but also coffee, so.
Anything further?
Oh, I had some thoughts on the wall terracing and,
So did I. So what are your thoughts?
well, I didn't, I fundamentally, you know, I like it, but on 6.4.3 on C, it talks about the horizontal offset between terraces, and the horizontal offset between any two walls of a terraced retaining wall is not less than the greater of 2 times the exposed height of the lower of the two walls. Do they mean shorter?
I was literally trying to draw it up a second.
Is it the shorter wall, or is it the lowest wall in elevation?
Lower means lower. I mean, in an absolute sense.
So the first wall going up the mountain
Yeah,
kind of thing?
that would be the,
Yeah,
that
is
would be the reading I would read, whether or
Right.
not that's what we want it to
But
be.
I don't know if that's what, I think that there you'll be talking about the height.
And somewhere it says toe instead of top, and I ended up wondering if they meant toe because it was the specific bottom of the wall,
No,
or
I
if
think-
there was a typo, it's supposed to be top to top. I was like,
I looked at that, I thought one of those was they meant the bottom. You know,
yeah, but why isn't it the base? Why would it be the toe? Is it like the specific lowest point?
Well, because when you're standing there, you're looking at your toe.
The word is
Up to it, you look down, you're looking at your toe.
the word 10 words later is top. It's supposed to be top.
Yeah.
But it's the toe of one wall to the top of it, so it's like, is it top to top?
That's what it reads, doesn't it?
It reads
So-
the toe of the, and he specifically edited it to include the E, so is the toe the one specific lowest point? Or is the toe, 'cause why isn't it the
Do
base?
we need a definition somewhere in here for
I
what the toe
literally
of the
thought
wall
we
is?
will need to define toe, because everyone will
People will
have
come
that
in here and
second.
say the toe is
Everyone saw it.
where I karate
Right,
chopped
the
you
toe
off.
is where it is. I cut the lawn lower there because that's the most favorable measurement.
If you go through and try to design this, you know, which I did,
Right.
it's an issue. You should really, you clarify it.
Term the toe.
Well, or the lower, is that higher, you know, which, you know, you kind of,
Ask that all 5 of us go through the red line here and track any changes and comments that we do. I don't know, either I or Taylor will digest them.
We should give them to Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
He's got nothing else to do.
I didn't mean he had to track them, but we should give them to Taylor is all I meant.
Okay. I just didn't want to overload him. Anything else, John? But if you could, go through it with, on your own computer.
No, that's,
Just raising issues.
well, the on 646, the note at the bottom is that it talks about the objective. The above are objective standards that aim to replace the slope trigger, thereby avoid discretionary review. 4 feet was selected as the minimum for establishing terrace criteria because it is also the minimum for a building permit.
We discussed that with them at one point. They were talking about 3 feet maybe instead.
Right.
I brought a tape measure. A trusty planning board tape measure, because I was trying
Oh
to
my gosh,
picture in my
that's a
head of
serious
3 feet or 4 feet.
contractor.
Like,
Yeah,
this
I was-
would be the 3-foot wall is like, I think the 3 feet is the one I'm comfortable just saying.
Yeah.
We don't need to approve it, but 4 feet, like, that's a,
No, but you're sitting down, stand up. Like, I mean, that's a little unfair, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
still, 3 feet is, you were describing it as like, this is the wall, you kind of were like, it doesn't matter, you could just like hop on that, that's this. But for me, 4 feet's like, we should probably talk about that. That's a pretty substantial wall.
Yeah, it is.
Personally.
As long as we're talking about the walls, I had a couple of nits on 6.4.3, section 1, item B, where we talk about the terracing and aggregate height. A terraced retaining wall consists of multiple walls. Total retained grade change does not exceed 8 feet. Do we want to specify how many walls that might be? You could have a series of 1-foot walls.
You could.
You could?
Yeah,
I mean, do we want to specify a maximum number of walls, a minimum number?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so when you think about,
Horizontal length not exceeding 50.
I'm getting to that.
when you think about those 1-foot walls, you can just try to, sit down and just try to calculate what would the bench sort of be, the terrace be with a 1-foot wall. They talk about 2 times the lower.
And then D, no retaining wall or no aligned tier of a terraced retaining wall has a continuous unbroken horizontal length exceeding 50 feet. A horizontal jog or offset in the alignment of the wall having a depth of at least 4 feet and the length of at least 8 feet shall be deemed to begin a new length of wall for the purpose of the standard. I wonder if it could be interrupted by a stairway that's 4 feet.
Yep, good question.
That would,
that justify it?
yes, a 4-foot staircase would, you
But
could,
if it's 4 feet wide, that's what,
Right, yeah.
8 feet, doesn't it? Is it 8 feet or 4 feet?
no, 4 feet.
But it's a jog or offset.
The depth of 4
So
feet
thi-
and
so
the
this-
length of at least 8 feet.
oh, 8 feet. Well, I've seen 8-foot stairs.
A length of,
That's
but it's the horizontal jog or offset in the alignment of the wall.
That's this, though, isn't it? Like, here's my
Well,
wall.
That's what I mean. A staircase, it would be a flush wall, but the staircase would
Or it
interrupt
could
it.
be like this with a staircase.
Oh, you could,
down.
yeah, you could have the wall,
Backwards.
staircase, grab the staircase at the top and then
Yeah.
pick it up at the bottom, and
Yeah.
It was just a query. I mean, it's not really,
it's
there's nothing I want to change there.
an
But I
interesting way
think,
to.
I'm assuming the interest with this point is that you not have a monolithic
Yes.
200-foot wall.
Yes.
So
You want some variations.
so offsetting it that way just creates the visual, and is that enough of a visual interest if the stairs the
Yeah, I mean,
interrupter?
what you might likely do is, if the depth of the stairs, the whole assembly is, 6 feet, you would probably have a planting bed of 6 feet.
Yeah, right.
And-
Makes you fill the space. I
There's
think that's it. I think they're just trying to make you fill the space.
There's a house on, I think it's Plymouth Road, where they have a very high wall, and it wraps around the house, because its house is up high.
Oh.
But what they did was they did an indentation about, I don't know, 6 feet, and they put a bench in there, a stone
Yeah.
bench. And it looks kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they're looking for.
Well, what about if it was curved? Or, or wavy?
Ah.
Because that, like, is the purpose just to introduce visual elements? Because if that's the
think so.
purpose, then there are other ways to do it than just a jog.
Yeah.
Right. Horizontal to any two walls of a terrace.
And to say that it has to be a jog.
Jog or an offset. So,
And the other thing is, I mean, let's just think about how the permitting of this is going to work. One thing about the 3 feet versus 4 feet, regardless of the height, is having it. I mean, people aren't going to be permit. People aren't going to know to permit their retaining walls. I think that's more likely to happen at 3 feet than if it was 4 feet.
more likely to have people not know that they should,
If the smaller the wall is, the more likely people are not going to think that they have to permit it.
Right, no, I agree with that, but I
That's
feel
not
like
a-
4
that's not a
feet is where
reason.
people should realize they're building a substantial wall. That was sort of my thought.
We built a just shy of 4-foot retaining wall years ago. It didn't need anything. I mean, it doesn't need a
Did
building.
it?
No.
It doesn't need a building.
You know, the other thing
100
is,
feet long with no
No,
jog?
it's 10 feet long.
what constitutes a wall? I built 100-foot retaining, with bank stone, and I just angled it.
So
And it was,
there's a lot.
it was a nice gray. It looked, was that a wall? No one thought, at the time, it was like,
No? More of a curtain.
it was not,
The beaded curtains.
the neighbors, everyone was like, that'll work. It didn't look as severe as a tall wall.
Yeah. I mean, that's all they're trying to.
It
I
looked,
don't know if
it was
the wavy thing's an interesting question. I
it
feel
wasn't
like
in the
that's-
front yard either, and that, I think, makes a difference to, you build a 3-foot wall in your backyard, no one's, what are you going to do?
Yeah, this is introducing a lot of complexity in permitting a thing, retaining walls. I think that we've reached the point of agreeing that the walls need to have a permit and need to be reviewed, but this is introducing a lot of complexity in how they're reviewed, the specificity of it, what type of relief, I think there's a lot of questions here.
Did they work with
It's
Tom
gonna
on
be
this?
complex.
I was under the impression he had
We-
at least spent some time on the grades.
We told them our recommendations in the permitting, but I think I'm assuming if you were to ask Tom, he would not want to see A through E that he has to look at every time.
I mean, is that something that we put in the rules and regs? The definition of it? Like, do we strip this down to sort of like, the height of, retaining walls are allowed by right and then just give it a bare minimum and then stick the rest in the rules and regs so that we can get it wrong for a little while and fix it?
Retaining walls by right under 4 feet or whatever.
Yeah,
Foot,
by right.
that does exist for this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, is there anything in terms of like making this a permit? I'm thinking of two steps. I'm thinking of getting it through town meeting, who will want to see it, and it has to be a natural shade of stone, and the stone should have originated on a battlefield that was involved in the revolution. And then there will also be, do we have so much detail in the bylaw that has to go through town meeting that if Tom is like, this is a pain in my butt, we can't change it?
Well, I'm comfortable with having more in the rules and regs and less in the bylaw.
Yeah. So is there any of this that,
Yeah.
Well, I would argue most of it.
I mean, I would not disagree, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
Like, I think as far as like, is it wavy, is it, that we can move over. But town meeting will want to see that we did something to prevent it from looking like a barrack.
Yep. And I think that we need to also work separately, because the town meeting doesn't need to see this unless they're really interested in how things get permitted through our systems. we do need to at least make it easy on Tom and Carla so that when something comes in,
Right.
they at least know the boxes to check. They at least know what to look for. And if a plan doesn't show something, they know what to ask their architect to update.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in my mind, making it wavy, I would still be counting, the linear.
Same. Yeah.
You
It's
know,
not
like
quite enough.
if you went from here to here and it was 50 feet and it went in and out like that, that would still be 50 feet.
From end to end.
Yeah, from end to end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's still a monolithic wall.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, it wouldn't,
contoured.
putting a wave in it wouldn't break
Right.
interrupt the counting of the 50 feet.
Amy, do you have anything to add?
The retaining wall stuff really
Or anything in the,
kind of makes my head spin. If I was a homeowner reading this and trying to figure out if I had to get a permit, I would have absolutely no idea what this was actually saying and what the intent behind it was. I think it's confusing. I think it's better than the 500 feet over 6% or
No one knows what that means.
no one knows what that means.
That's-
But I think if we're trying to make this easier for people, I'm not sure it's.
we have a comment from the public. Come forward.
Come on.
Come on up. This is a public hearing.
Okay, I felt weird being here because I was like, I don't know if it's too private. I didn't know.
No, it's a public meeting.
Okay.
You just happen to be open public. And
So-
the millions watching on TV.
Okay. Oh, yeah. My name is Jeff Canna. I own 846 Main Street. I want to first say, well, I came because of, I wanted to find out about the A&R for 26-1. I don't know if I missed it in the first 7 minutes.
No, it's
Okay,
coming up.
okay. But I will say that I'm not completely up to date on all the rules, but every single thing that you talked about today, everything, the parking for the other people, the 120 setback, the getting the special permit to demolish, every single one of those I'm dealing with or affected, every single one. So these are real issues because we interpreted like even the grade changes, the retaining wall, the 120-foot demolition, every one of those are real issues that people are grappling with. And I personally, every one of those in the last year I've dealt with. And right now in the middle of and about to do certain things. And it's real, the ambiguity. Even FAR, the gross floor area, the inclusion of the basement, or the rules are vague. Some communities like Arlington have clarified some things, but it's tough for people to know what they can do.
We're trying. That's why we're
Yeah, so
tackling this.
it's
We're
good,
trying.
but it was unbelievable that every single thing that you were talking about, I am
Yeah,
intimately
everyone should be
aware
interested in
of.
planning board. We touch everybody's life at some point.
Yeah.
Whether they want to be here or not.
Yeah, and yeah, so this may not be the place, but if I could make a comment
Yes, please.
on the parking for that original 970 Main Street?
972.
972,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about that, but I think I saw some things that could be done. So I think it's possible, but I don't want to ever speak for someone, but I think that there are solutions for what they're trying to do, and I hope that they can find them. But I didn't want to say anything when they were going, but I'd be willing to discuss it if they're easy or helpful at some point. But yeah, so my main thing was I just wanted to say that I wasn't sure if I should still be here, waiting to hear about
Public
that.
meeting, you're totally welcome
Okay.
to be here.
Yeah.
Please submit comments on 972 to Taylor. Like you can, if you're welcome
Yeah,
to. If you have ideas, we're obviously looking for a way forward for it.
No,
so,
because
yeah,
like
don't
in the
be
case
shy.
of the parking, I did a tremendous amount of work reading the rules. This is years back. And I did a whole bunch of parking. I know all about the spaces. I mean, what I mean is I went through all the pain, and so I understand the issues and the tightness. But I won't give any feedback unless anyone asks me. But I'm intimately familiar with the 24-foot, the turning around, all of that stuff, and solutions with the, parking space width and depth. There, I think, but as someone mentioned, if those numbers are not accurate, that's not going to be helpful. But I think that there could be solutions. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out as if I'd be willing to give a little time if someone wants to work with it. But yeah, that was it. So I guess should I just go back over here?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'll just wait for the.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
One,
Oh, I should. Yeah. So I'm not an architect or an engineer or anything like that, but I did do all the work with multiple projects, and so I'm familiar. But my word is not law or credible.
All right. Appreciate it.
one thing before we leave the wall height issue is that 4 feet currently is the threshold where you need a permit. That's because you need engineering. So there's something to regulate there.
Okay.
This code, the state requires you to build something 4 feet tall. You have to get it engineered, and building expects to see a plan with a stamp and
Footings and all that.
you've done it the proper,
Yeah.
different walls have different requirements. It's really what, making sure that you've satisfied the requirements, and
By 4 feet, you're holding quite a bit back, so that makes sense.
you might be. And for 3 feet, you're kind of increasing the workload there, because you are, for building. You don't have it now, you don't need a permit for a 3-foot wall now.
They wouldn't need a building permit, they would need a special, if we said 3 foot was the limit, and it came with a 3.5 foot retaining wall, they would need a special permit from us or from the ZBA. But they then would turn around and wouldn't need to get a building permit, would they?
The state would not require them to provide engineering, as I understand it. Building could require it, could take a look at the site and say, I would like to have an engineer look at this. The building might say, look, if you have a series of 3-foot walls,
Yeah.
well, that's 9 feet. I'm going to want to know about how you're going to manage.
No, but I guess, would they need a building?
Technically, I guess you're right, but the zoning enforcement officer has to enforce the decision of the special permit. So the best way to do that is by using the building permit. So I understand what you're saying, and I think theoretically you could find a way that would be the case. It just wouldn't be the case that would actually be employed here.
Okay, fair, okay. Found the other thing that I wanted to mention, which is still on this section, which is in the red line. I had mentioned this during one of our other meetings. It's section 6.3 is earth removal, and section 6.4 is the retaining wall cutting, filling, and regrading of earth material. 6.3, this is only in the red line, not in the letter sent to us. That's not in that one, it's only in the full red line version, is removal of soil from the premises of sod, loam, or soil removal of all the earth products is prohibited, especially under a special permit by the Board of Appeals. So with that, if someone's doing a retaining wall and removing some soil, they would need a special permit from, and it's in someplace where we're the special permit granting authority, they would need a special permit from the ZBA to remove the soil, and a special permit from us to do the retaining wall cutting, filling, and grading of the earth.
I thought that was fixed in the version I read. I thought somewhere it said if a single permit may authorize both the earth
Yes.
and the retaining walls of one project, where a project also requires a special permit for removal of earth.
I think there was some.
644.
If I missed it, then
Under special permit, 644.
Number 3,
Number
right?
3.
Yeah, yeah, there was. I remember reading that.
oh.
Just
there you go. Thanks.
I think you raised that with him.
I did, and I thought it was going to get fixed in 6.3. And when
Yeah, that might be a better spot for it.
I thought 6.3 would just be granted by the special permit granting authority, which I think the whole zoning
Under
bylaw.
applicability, maybe? There should be somewhere it applies whether we're.
That would work. What they did worked, and I missed that. So thank you for pointing it out. that was my other comment.
Yeah, you pinged it for me when I read it. I was like, fixed.
It's kind of like 12-foot sidewalks.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It should be because the permitting goes back and forth, just like a point of almost grammar going through it, is that they continually refer to the Board of Appeals when it probably should be the special permit granting authority, because for some of it, aren't we the?
You know, part of whenever I read through this, I think about the recent struggles we've had, the board with 972 and, you know, building Tom being unhappy that we felt he sent a project and there were things about it that weren't right. He wasn't able to give it a permit. And we always talk about the permit granting authority. We're not really granting the permit.
Yeah.
You know, we're granting.
Special. We do grant the special permit. We don't grant the building permit.
We're granting authority, you know, or the approval to move forward. We're not granting. There's a big, thick building code you have to abide by, and the zoning, the zoning that we didn't make an exception for.
Maybe we should just be the green light.
We made an exception for one narrow thing, and then the rest of it, you're responsible for.
Previous applicant ran into
And
trouble. Gave
it,
him his permit, but
it,
still has to go through that building code.
well, and the other zoning, we kind of just talked about this one part.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's typically what happens with any project. You're going to let you, whatever, you know, some allowance on setback or whatever.
I'm assuming it's really clear to people in the earth removal business what clean dirt is. Whereas fill material, earth material used shall be clean. Are we clear on what that is?
My impression is it's not rubble. It's not like asphalt,
seeds,
pieces of asphalt,
contaminants.
bricks.
No, it's, so, in the practice, how this happens.
There's the expert.
So we need to revise it already, because it's already.
Yeah.
No, it's not, you can dig up a big old couple of truckloads, several truckloads. Those big trucks don't actually hold very much material. And you can generally cannot reinstall it somewhere else on another lot.
Oh, so it has to be from like a field?
No. You bring it to a soil place, like maybe Benevento's.
Okay,
And you
gotcha.
dump it at one end of the building. And at the other end of the building, they fill your truck up. And they do something to it. They process it.
It's like holy water.
It is a process. I see where you're going, but you need a permit to fill.
It's like
Yeah, you do.
So,
And it needs-
there is a permit involved to bring fill in.
Oh, okay.
So there's obviously a certain number. If you're ordering 3 yards of loam, you don't need it. But
And the big-
I don't know what the number is. That's through the health department, but it probably should be worth maybe noting here what that amount is. But there is another permit involved there.
Right. And when the truck comes back with the new material, it will have a manifest with it. And you can say, and this will be called new material.
That's great. I love it. It's holy water.
That's how it,
You're holy water
It's
now.
like the sign I once saw, we buy junk but sell antiques.
that is
That's perfect.
new material.
I do
It's
think if
processed.
we let's like drag out the toe top issue, if it is toe, we probably should define it. I don't know. I feel like that's extremely confusing.
I agree, unless it is a term.
Yeah,
We
unless
have
there's
various people here. Do you
understanding.
guys know what toe means? Like, is it inherent in the
I think
industry?
it's confusing because of the use of the word top immediately after, but.
So it does go toe to head or something.
So-
I would
There
assume.
was a head and a shoulder in between. Would be good.
It either means top to top, or they're trying to say the bottom of one to the top of the other.
Which is what I think they're meaning.
And
That's how I read it.
That's the
Yeah, I was sort of like, is it worth calling out?
but when you,
I all got around to
so
where
the bottom of the wall,
yeah, you can't because it's
well, see, like if you're pouring a poured concrete wall, you pour it below the frost line, so you'd be 4 feet down. But if you're doing the kinds of walls which you see are very, very common with these, engineered blocks, you bury just the first block. It's
Yeah.
just 6 inches. They're very
So what defines the bottom of the wall?
right, and they perform great. People that have last for many, many years. It's a solid solution, but the bottom is 6 inches below.
So the toe is the single lowest point that gives you the most favorable measurement? Is that how, I mean, maybe we don't need to define it because we kind of get there?
I never really,
Anyway.
I pay by the course, so
Yeah. All right.
I never had to define it so closely, but.
So, moving on, any changes that you want to suggest or questions you might want to raise with Taylor, send them to him.
Great.
We can move on and we can, yes.
Would you like me to share with Taylor draft that I have for 3.5 solely for the purpose of us having because it would cover on this to have an opportunity to discuss at the table, even though I don't know that it's ready for fall town meeting. It's up to you.
Maybe segments of it are, like what you raised tonight.
I think that by the time this gets presented to fall town meeting, it's not going to be a clean copy of community scales recommendations anyway, so I really hesitate to put you off. I mean, you've put so much time into this. So, I mean, if it's not a full rewrite, I think the spirit of it is clarity, and the spirit of the entire process is clarity, so I really support you getting it in front of us and getting it into the discussion.
But it's not a full rewrite because I thought that would be way too confusing.
There's one paragraph that's like, we find ourselves in an open field. I think Brian did this one.
I think we did define the vernalia rule down like somewhere. But it is...
Put in the definitions in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will share that, and we do one of two things. We either say, yes, this is on the right course, let's do something, or no, you're way off. Let's put this off to spring, but now we at least know we haven't had an opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
You can all see it that way because it's in the packet for a meeting.
I think so.
So I will do that.
With that, I will entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
Continue it?
I'm sorry, to continue it
Yeah.
21st.
to the 21st of July.
So
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Since we have somebody here for the purposes of 26 Swan Road, I move that I suggest that we just jump to that.
yes.
We have a couple of other items that we should be hearing, but, no, that's right. That is the next item. Sorry.
Perfect.
So, Taylor, you want to run this past us again?
Yeah, we have an A&R application, 26 Swan Road. The planning department, engineering department, building department have reviewed the application, have determined that it is in fact land that is not a subdivision. Let's see if I can zoom in.
So microscopic.
It's a conveyance of land. It's a conveyance of land from 30, 23, 26 Swan to 30 Swan?
Correct.
Yeah. From 26 to 30, the result of the conveyance does not make either lot less non-conforming than it, or less conforming than they exist.
They both are conforming lots now.
Both conforming lots.
And they will be after.
They will still be conforming.
Okay.
So what action does the planning board need to take on this? Endorsement of a plan?
To endorse the plan.
Got it. Seems pretty simple to me.
Any story behind it we need to hear? Or is this just,
If you're curious, you can ask.
I'm always curious.
Ask.
Is there a story behind
Do you
this?
want to tell us the story of why this is being transferred? You don't have to.
Well, I just want to say, I don't officially represent anyone, but I do know, but I believe it's in regard to your, to allow 120 feet lot width on the right at that location. Otherwise, otherwise the house would have to be right on the street instead of set back a nice location.
Gotcha.
Which is actually where the house is, that the existing house, I'm sorry, the prior house was there. So it's more natural to fit into that location. And all I needed was, I think, 27 inches.
Oh,
That's funny.
So,
that
But
makes
if you
sense.
need it.
Well, that seems,
There, it's 120 feet at that location, and it gets wider as it goes forward the lot. the 125, I don't care. If they want to do this, they can do this. I just don't understand why they're doing it. Because if you look at it, it's 120 feet, right at the place that's getting the biggest addition, and it goes all the way to 125 at the front.
Yeah, but their buildable, so their buildable footprint right now is only about here. That's their buildable footprint now.
Back to the 120?
They're extending to 120, so they're making their buildable footprint this.
Oh, I thought that 120 was the existing width right there.
No, it's becoming 120. Right now, it's 118. So that's the whole purpose of the division, is just to move their buildable area back so that they can build a conforming structure.
Yeah.
With a larger front setback, and in their eyes, more desirable. But they could build a conforming structure in the front, so they don't have to. But
I'm still
they
fine with it.
have the right to do this, and they can.
Right to do this, and they can do this. Great.
Very nice.
Entertain a motion of endorsement.
I move to endorse the A&R proposed for 62 Swan Road?
26.
26.
26 and 20 and 30.
And 30 Swan Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We were going to talk tonight about priorities for, excuse me, fiscal year 2027 priorities. We should begin procurement no later than the end of August for contracted services in the fiscal year. So we need to figure out, how much money do we have?
Some.
50 grand.
I just want to say thank you, everyone.
Thanks for staying this long. We love an audience.
But come again.
Come again.
We're here in 2 weeks.
Are we?
You might be online.
What's the question? I think we have 50 grand.
50 grand. The obvious idea that comes to me is to start working on the master plan, but that's not imperative. Is there something that any of you, including Taylor, have an idea for
50 grand we need to spend by when?
by the end of the fiscal year?
Next July.
Oh, next July.
By the June 30th, actually, by the
But
end
this
of the
past year, we found ourselves compressed such that
Yeah, no, we
don't
should
wanna do
definitely
that.
think about it now.
So we're going to jump on that soon.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to decide it tonight. Can I be let off leash to look into light industrial and make sure we've got that wrapped up before we get into our master plan stuff? And then if we need support around wrapping that up,
That's a good
that
idea.
might be one thing.
That's a good idea.
That's probably the major hanging chad from the last one that just gnaws at me.
Do we want to chew on that until the 21st, and then come back with some
Yeah,
ideas?
the purpose of that, Jed, wasn't to make decisions.
No, I don't.
It's just to
Kick it around.
Get everyone going.
like Brian mentioned, I didn't submit our final invoice for this last year until June 30th. It'd be nice if we
I doubt you were alone. This was such a tumultuous year. I feel like this year was just like
moving forward sooner than later. So whatever the priority is, although I will say I do think that for priorities or for not, we should look into the master plan and say, what do we need to accomplish? Because light industrial is in the master plan.
I know.
So that is technically a part of the master plan.
I know.
So,
It's last.
so we do need to look into the implementation of the master plan. I think that we should actually review ourselves. Say,
Well, we can review ourselves, but we need outside people to review this because we're gentler on ourselves than the town probably would be. if they were
we can
invited.
still look through.
We can prioritize areas where we feel like we may have underperformed and get a group together to assess
Exactly.
that. Like, we don't need everybody nitpicking the MSMD. Like, we did what we could for that.
Yeah.
We should all go through it individually and say, check, incomplete.
Yeah,
you know.
committee.
And then just push it forward into the next plan.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Or try to wrap up this year with our 50 grand.
So
And if we're
that's-
sure we shouldn't do a planning board retreat. That's a real quick no, or is that?
That's not a bad idea.
But do you foresee light industrial needing
No,
consulting
I mean,
funds?
we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. Taylor, I'll be stopping by. Sorry to say, Graham's going away for 2 weeks, so you probably will see a decent amount.
He'll be in my office every day.
That's right. He'll be in Vermont. We could take this show on the road.
Going to
South Hero.
Sleepaway camp?
Yeah, he goes every summer. He loves
Is
it.
soccer?
It is gymnastics, which he
wow.
hasn't done since, I mean, it's been many years. He just
Nice.
really loves the kids. So the morning they do gymnastics and then they just water ski.
Oh, tough.
I know. Kids
So
love
bring ideas to the next meeting. Well, you had something.
Yeah, so additional business was that the Permanent Street Tree Committee is in the process of having a application for money from the WCCP to plant and maintain some trees at 4 different park locations. This wouldn't be something we would come to us necessarily, although we like parks and trees, some of us a lot. What is important is that one of the 4 locations is Elliott Park, which is located across the street from Stop and Shop. It's in the CBD. It's where we are the SPGA, not the PGA, just the SPGA. So I thought it was something, an improvement to downtown was something that we could consider. Something as simple as drafting a letter to send to the WCCP saying that because there would be trees planted in the CBD, we would like to recommend they fund that project to help get more trees downtown. It wouldn't be, this would just be a letter to them so they can consider it, put it in their file, and consider it when they're making the decisions on it. They like having recommendations from boards in town. They already have support from the select board to use the space because they are carry control of that because it's a park. They have, I believe, an opinion from the Conservation Commission supporting this as well. All these are just little things that help the WCCP have a little bit more comfort that this is a good idea. And we could contain our recommendation to the aspect that has to do with downtown, just so that we're not venturing outside of our guidelines.
Is this, are they just planting trees or are they pulling bittersweet off trees? Like what are they
Planting
doing?
trees. It's a
Just
tree
planting.
planting. It's a tree
You know,
planting.
there were several trees that got knocked down in the storm.
Yeah,
at Elliott Park.
they've lost some trees recently, the last couple of
So
years.
they're basically replacing them, if I understand correctly.
This is an opportunity to plant trees all around town, and there were several different options we had. We ultimately decided that planting them at 4 parks, and I can't remember the other 3 parks, but they're in the application. The only one that is in the Center Business District is Elliott Park.
Yeah, be nice there.
Yeah. So,
In Converse Place?
We're just gonna turn into a forest.
We
It's
don't
gonna
know
be a
that, sadly.
Milwaukee forest.
so all I was hoping for is make a vote to authorize the chair, or authorize the chair to authorize anyone to write a simple, it's a simple
Or our
email.
liaison to the Permanent Street Tree
Or the
Committee.
liaison to the Permanent Street Tree Committee to write said letter, anyone that simply says something simple like what I just said.
I would
Yeah.
entertain
So
such a
moved.
motion.
Yeah, so
Moving it.
it should endorse.
Why don't you second it?
Motion to grant the chair or the liaison of the Permanent Street Tree Committee to write a letter of support for the Elliott Park tree planting effort.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just a few updates from me. So, timely to this, the Recreation Department is also updating the Fields Master Plan. They would like the planning board's support through that process. That I think that we should have a discussion. This was originally on the agenda, and I moved it because I thought that this was going to be a long meeting. So we can talk about it more later, but we don't need. I don't think the planning board needs to be heavily involved, but I think it's an important thing for the planning board to know what's happening as the plan is being created. Fields throughout town do play a major role in planning of the town. So we'll keep you updated on how that goes. The second, go ahead.
As far as that's concerned, I'm just trying to find it. I feel like we did the last field master plan less than a decade ago. And not that there's any magic about a decade, but it feels pretty recent.
We did, because we did all the turf.
The turf, and there were like the number of rectangles that we had in town. I remember spending a lot of time thinking about that, so.
Yeah,
I think it was pre-pandemic, though. I don't think it was that recent.
It was pre-pandemic. I think it was 2019.
That sounds right.
Yes, you are correct, but the field master plan is what's used to determine the priority of field updates. So the plan is more of a feasibility study more than anything else.
Okay.
So it's saying what fields need the most attention. Is a skate park a crucial thing that needs to be added? So it's
Hey guys, it gets pretty heavy use, to be honest. I walked down. Yeah, it should be updated.
I just remember being depressed because it said we needed like 40 rectangles in town, and they called them like rectangles in town to have enough, and we have 20. So basically, we're screwed. So it was kind of depressing.
Yeah.
So still, we should do it, and I support it.
You're still going to be depressed, probably. The next thing, I think it might be in here.
We don't have a lot of passive rec space.
The wayfinding study was complete.
Oh, nice.
That must not be.
Oh, they recommend for the side.
Ian will give that presentation when we have time.
Where is Ian?
He's at the historical commission.
Oh.
He must still be going.
Oh God, is his beloved back in town? We still have not toasted the.
They're talking about 1016 Mount Vernon.
Yeah, why? I just got a note from Michelle McCarthy. So I wasn't going to try to answer her.
Tonight's when you wanted to talk about it.
They granted or they imposed a demolition delay on that. Is that what they're talking about?
On 1016?
Wait, this is the pond view. This is John Levitt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he going to demolish it and start over? No.
It's just bluffing.
Oh, I wouldn't.
You think he will?
No, I wouldn't. I would never say, just like, you know, there's a 26-story tower being planned for Davis Square. Don't say, never.
Yeah.
Don't.
That's fair.
I forgot one other issue is Taylor's performance review. I need.
I sent you
You did, okay, you did send it. And if you still have your files from when you did it, when you were the chair, I'd appreciate that. And I will put together some forms and send them out to all four of you, and I'll fill it out. And then we also want you to set goals. I don't think I think Taylor's got his own notions, but I think we should set goals.
Goals for Taylor?
Yeah.
So many ideas. No, I'm just kidding.
For the next year.
Has he given us a sense of his goals before we set them?
So I will send around, I forgot to, I'll send around the goals that we set last year.
Yes.
There are a few things about them. One, we set them in October. So that was pretty late. The other one is, as you're thinking about goals for me, in reviewing my past few years, I think the better goals are less task-based, because I'm finding those harder to accomplish. For example, create one which was for last year was create a historical database, or a database of all historical properties in town. And we have done that, but I would say we've only completed about 10% of that work.
But
I mean, 10% is so. I feel like that goal has been. You tell me, but I feel like that goal has been knocking around for a long.
Forever.
That's like an eternal goal.
It's never going to be finished.
So the task-based
10% finish
ones,
now.
I think they could still be implemented, but I would like them to be supported. I mean, it's up to you, but I would like them to be supported with more broader, learning or experience for helping goals as well.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be you're doing your own list of goals. I mean, I just know that you have sort of like a whole body of involvement that we just don't see. You know, like you do stuff with economic development, you do stuff with like different councils that we're just like not part of. And for us to be like, I want you to do that, you know, and not have a 360 on what you're up to feels a little selfish.
So I'll get something to you, and we need to start working on that because we need to get it finished into Mike Town by August 14th.
Okay.
So
the
we need a
performance
timeline. We need a timeline from you of what you want when.
Yeah, give us a false internal deadline. So if we fail, we're still okay.
No, like, so for instance, you're gonna send us something and you want a draft of it by the next meeting or
Yep.
something, and then just so, like, I'll follow, I'm good at, if you give me a deadline, I'll do it, but if you just say whenever,
Yep.
it will never happen.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll try to get that out ASAP. Anything else? You look tired.
Do it.
I'm ready to
Do
move
it.
to adjourn. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, WinCam.
Also Jack.
Oh, Jack and Jack.
Jack and Jack.
Oh, cookies.
Oh.
I'm not proud. I would have eaten it in the middle, but now I know that it like interrupts people.
Well, it's not polite. Not a good look on camera.